Hello everyone, I'm the Nerdy Fool and welcome back to Rogue Trader. As I recall, we were down on this planet collecting the tithe that had been, I guess, collected and stored throughout the local area because the maw is closed and we can't get it back to Terra. But right at the end, after we had ordered everything to be transported away, someone came in contact over the radio and ordered the planet to be destroyed. We don't know who or why, but clearly we are playing into someone's plans, and the fact that we've just shipped all of our goods off-world is probably not good. But yeah, we're now up on the Arbites station, and I think our goal is to figure out what's going on and who is at fault, and get back our goods that probably have been stolen from us. In the meantime, let's start exploring and collecting goods. Also, you would expect that these stations would be manned. The fact that they are empty is unusual.
Operation successful.
Lady Theodora's mantle. That's interesting. At the start of the wearer's turn, if there are more enemies than allies in combat, the wearer deals 20% more damage with melee weapons. Not terribly important.
Messiah, grant me the wisdom to perceive.
Almost missed that. Let's see what you are.
My success is
Just some goods.
certainty.
Alright. We've got a cogitator here. A human torso built into a massive cogitator. Countless cables entangle the shriveled body and the snake. The shriveled body and snake under the pale skin. Identification: Rogue Trader von Valencius, initiating the final stage of the Oblivion Directive. The ragged wheeze escapes the Vox grill, and the man's speech becomes more animated and bilious. You have arrived at last, offspring. At last, everything ends. Watcher of Lethus. So the cogitator is talking about initiating the Oblivion Directive. Go on, take the last step, confirm the execution of the directive, and in so doing, destroy Lethus, take its riches, and free me from this unbearable vigil. Explain to me what's going on now. Draw your weapon, I'm not playing your games. Abort the Lethus's destruction this instant, which is what I want. Were you the one who intruded on my conversation with Vigidus prior to our landing on Lethus? Also a good question. Explain to me what's going on now. You really do not know. Did she choose not to tell you, or did she not get the chance? It doesn't matter anymore. Yours is the blood of the dynasty, and so I am compelled to give you this answer. The man announces in a mechanical voice, Supreme Ordinance, the arrival of the head of the von Valencius dynasty with the purpose of the complete extraction of the tithe triggers the immediate activation of the Oblivion Directive by the Watcher of Lethus. At the moment of the directive's activation, the machine spirits of the initiation system are bound in Prometheus Proxima class Cogni Shackles. The Cogni Shackles cannot be removed by any means. The directive guarantees the Rogue Trader's acquisition of the planet's assets and the destruction of Lethus, presented as being caused by the actions of the enemies of humanity. So there's a directive that we think was Theodora's set up so that she could steal the full tithe for herself and blame it on others. Hey Songheart, welcome. So Lady Theodora intended to steal the tithe from the start. She arranged the world's destruction to cover her tracks, installed a servant to keep an eye on things, and even made a contingency plan in case of her own death. All she needed was an opportune moment like this one. With the Expanse being torn apart, the plan's death looks convincing. An outrageous accusation. Lady Theodora would never have sullied herself with such heresy. Stealing the sacred tithe? Never. Were you the one who intruded on my conversation with Vigidus prior to our landing on Lethus? Yes, I needed to exchange codes with the flagship in order to identify the vessel and its owner. I had to sift through onboard communication channels and systems to verify the new Lord Captain's data and his right to be one. Abort Lethus' destruction this instant. I must refuse. The Supreme Ordinance states that if the head of the dynasty has declared the tide's evacuation, I am to destroy the planet. You are the one who announced to the arbitrators that you were taking the tithe with you. The directive has been initiated and the cognishacles placed. It cannot be stopped. What if I simply kill you? Then you will change nothing. The directive cannot be stopped. The cognishacles, once applied to the initiation systems, are unbreakable. Accept your fate, offspring. I accepted mine long ago. You want me to claim the tithe for my own? I have long since been robbed of the luxury of freely expressing my thoughts. I am merely quoting Theodore's plan. This qualifies for a culprit's confession, except the culprit herself is dead, and judging this creature would be pointless. Still, we must decide what to do next, rogue trader. Here's where I stand. Lady Theodora has violated the Lex Imperialis, and the Marshal should be informed of her crime. If you are loyal to the Imperium, you will send the tithe to the Administratum and tell Marshal Strox of the events on Lethus. I do agree with you. One more accusation against my dynasty and you will be going to Lethus through an airlock. No. I still have questions for the Watcher. I still have questions for the Watcher of Lethus. Let's see what other questions we can ask. Because I want to get as much information as I can before I make a decision. Though I am inclined to agree with Solomon. Solomon nods and turns his heavy gaze to the creature. Are you a servitor or something different? Something entirely different, offspring. A prisoner of my own mind in these machines. Do not let my manner of speech deceive you. I am only following the orders vested in me. The part of my brain that controls my ability to converse and holds the scraps of my personality was severed from my volition centers and locked into a cage of functions and limitations. Which is extremely heretical as well. Like, servitors, cogitators, etc. are not supposed to keep any of the personality. So you can think for yourself. You crave death as not typical of thralls who have no will of their own. Why are you consigned to such a terrible fate? Also a good question. So you can think for yourself. Calling it thinking would be an overstatement. Imagine a corridor with all the doors locked except for one or two. That would be my consciousness. Yes, a dark, suffocating corridor with fading pictures of memory and nail scratches on the walls. You crave death? That's not typical for thralls who have no will of their own. What does it matter what I crave if I am doomed to follow orders? Yes, I need you to complete the Oblivion Directive and trigger the station's shutdown so that I can be set free at last. And yet, in all these years, I have done nothing to bring my death closer. I can wait an eternity longer, suffering but infallibly obedient. Why are you consigned to such a terrible fate? I was a threat to Theodora's rule, and she had my brain dissected. A sophisticated sentence, to be humiliated, to live in suffering, yet continue to serve the dynasty, perfectly harmless. Absorb this lesson, offspring. That is how a rogue trader metes out punishment. It's harsh. Yeah, sad. I don't want a servant like him myself. That seems awful. I have no other questions. Hey Vincent, welcome. Glad you caught up and I'm glad you're here. Of course, you're welcome to prolong my agony for as long as you like. Why do you call me offspring? What else should I call you? The heir of the dynasty's throne, a young descendant. You may have grown used to people prostrating themselves before you, but to me, you are just a child. You still haven't told me your name. Who are you? That is the one question I cannot answer. Theodore did not wish for anyone to learn the name of he who has become the Watcher of Lethus. It's rare to see Cassie of checks that aren't 100%, but I guess with a difficulty modifier of -70, makes sense. Do you serve Theodore or the dynasty? Because at the moment, I am the dynasty. You may have a point. I am but a servant, and the future of the Protectorate is in your hands. You are the authority, and I obey. I am Darius von Valentius, Theodore's older brother, whom she turned into an amalgam of machine and man. She did this to her own brother? Her older brother, who arguably would have had a claim, potentially even a better claim, to become the next rogue trader. I mean, I guess rogue traders choose their own heirs, so it's not necessary that whoever was rogue trader before her would have chosen the brother anyway. Maybe they intentionally wanted Theodora. But this feels like it could be a situation where she got rid of competition, which is rough. By the Holy Throne. So that's where I remember that voice from. I saw you once when I was accompanying Lady Theodora. You weren't as you are now back then, but she never spoke of you as her brother. Why? How could Theodora have a brother? Everyone would know of you. Had I been a legitimate child, yes, they would have written. So he's an older brother, but he's illegitimate, so child of some concubine or something. Had I been a legitimate child, yes, they would have written my name in gold into the dynasty's chronicle. However, my mother's origin, as well as certain other circumstances, were damaging for House von Valentius, and so my inclusion into the family hit a snag. When Theodora was young, I was brought to Dargonis to be trained for the role of seneschal. When she became the rogue trader, she refused to recognize me as her kin. She needed an obedient servant who wouldn't challenge her rule. Had I behaved myself, perhaps Theodora would have condescended to call me her brother and heir on her deathbed. How are you punished? As Theodora's senior relative and direct heir, I could lay claim to her throne, and I did. I intended to kill her and declare search for her successor, and while it went on, to enter the warrant chamber and assume the rogue trader's title by right of blood. Theodora exposed my plan, executed anyone who had taken part in the conspiracy, and turned me over to her tech priests. Alright, so that's fair. If he was already planning to kill her and take over as rogue trader, she had every right to get rid of him because she was the rogue trader already. So it wasn't a situation where she got rid of him first before she became rogue trader so that he wouldn't be competition for the title. I guess that makes her situation more tolerable, at least regarding him. Stealing the tithe is still not okay. Why come up with such an elaborate punishment? At first, I thought Theodora was going to pay me visits so she could gloat, but she never once appeared on the station. I have a different explanation now. For von Valentius, even punishment must befit his status, with a gilded prison and a one-of-a-kind augmetics, so as not to have a pathetic servitor mar the dynasty's image. I do not know what kind of person you were, but I feel sorry for you. To be reduced to an expensive doll, a toy in someone's hands. No one deserves such a fate. You've yet to ask me how your sister died. I cannot ask questions about anything unrelated to my function. Now that you have brought it up yourself, however, no, I do not want to know. If I heard that she died by chance at the hands of an unworthy opponent, I would be gravely disappointed. After all, I have always solaced myself by believing that Theodora was someone extraordinary, and only because of this, she was able to beat me. Alright, enough about that. I agree, the past is best dredged up in small quantities. I have decided what should be done with the tithe. Then announce your decision. So, dogmatic, which is the direction I tend to lean. I will not overstep the Imperium's law. The tithe must go to the administratum. Iconoclast, a portion of the tithe will remain with me, and I will see to it that it finds its way to worlds affected by the crisis. I can understand that one. Because right now, all the tithe is doing, because the maw is closed, we have no way of getting it back to the Imperium as a whole. So it just sits on a planet, slowly growing as more and more is added, but not actually doing anything valuable or anything of use. So I can understand the perspective of send most of it where it's supposed to go, but keep a portion to help out the local area. Or heretical, a share of the tithe belongs to me by the right of the strongest. It will serve to support my reign in the Expanse. Or just none of them, just I claim the entire tithe for myself. We're going to go the dogmatic route, but I do understand the iconoclast. Oh, the irony. Theodora's great plan foiled by her own heir. The rogue trader has spoken. The barges will go where he has decreed, and the Watcher of Lethus has served his purpose. I'd hoped that I would feel relief. I know that it's there, locked inside my protocols, and she wanted me to know and to not feel. Watcher's head hits his sunken chest. Even at the moment of his death, he was denied the elation of freedom. The vid screens of the cogitator flicker, trying to process the influx of data, then fade all at once. It's a cool effect. Watching a planet be destroyed. Now, yeah, you can still just see chunks of it floating out in space. Very cool. But I guess that's it.
Victory awaits.
Your Voxcaster hisses softly, drawing your attention. It seems someone has been hailing you for some time now. Lord Captain, your immediate intervention is required. The barges you sent to Dargonus have been attacked by enemy ships that just emerged from the warp. What ships are they? How did they find us? The system's coordinates are classified. Prepare for battle, I'm coming. What ships are they? They carry no identifying marks, and their signatures are unreadable. All I can tell you is that they are of Imperial construction. How did they find us? The system's coordinates are classified. At present, we do not know, Lord Captain, but we are already working on it. Prepare for battle, I'm coming. Looks like we're going to a space battle. It's been a little bit since we've had one of these. Oh, we've got a lot of ships in this battle. Okay, these ones are friendly, actually. They're yellow. So that must be the Arbites. They are actually taking significant damage from these tiny ships. Or are those the ships that we're protecting that have the treasures, the barges? Although why would they be shooting down the barges if that's the case? Yeah, they're not attacking, they're just continuing to drive forward. Or I guess fly forward is more accurate. So I'm guessing those are the treasure barges. And we need to keep them safe. Alright, so enemy ships. What do we have? We've got 3 Cobra class. And that's it. Wow, you guys popped in. I guess there were 4 of them, but still. They showed up into a battle that they were sorely unprepared for. We'll do a swing run because we're facing the wrong direction. Which is unfortunate. Before we do that, can I at least still get some shots off? Sadly, no. Well, let's put out a fighter. Good job on the storytelling. Your lore knowledge and story choice analysis is interesting, especially with the Imperium and Mechanicus. I try. I'm definitely by no means an expert on 40k lore, but I am somewhat familiar. I'd like to know more, but there's too much to know everything. So try and learn what I can and apply that. The story's great though, and I'm learning a lot more about 40k just by playing it. Let's see. if I pointed this way, could I get a shot off? No. Usually that gun fires a lot farther. I'm kind of surprised it's stopping right there. Did I recently change it out for a shorter range? It says it's long range. Seems weird to me. So yeah, we can't get you in our firing arc. And these ones are definitely too far away. You've read about 28 books from Warhammer 40k? I've read probably 6 or 7. Well, I guess technically I listen to audiobooks. Same difference, though. Let's go forward a little bit. Now, even if I warp jumped, which is what I was thinking of, that's still not going to get us anywhere near close enough. Even with the extended range. We're just too far away. Which is a shame. But at least now we're facing the right way, so next round we can actually go and attack them. Alright, you though can get over here and join the fight. So if we put you there, had you take some shots. Not bad. More enemy ships are arriving. Okay, that makes more sense. So I was confused that they were trying to attack us with 4 ships. And now we're facing the wrong way for all of these ones. Okay, you played the tabletop. Cool. I've never done the, like, war table gaming, but I had a group that played the Dark Heresy 2nd Edition role-playing game. So I have some experience with that, but that was years ago. I'm super excited for the Dark Heresy game that Owlcat's making, though. Another one of their ships taken out. The Heartless is such a good ship. So glad it's on our side. Meanwhile, these guys are just moving directly into the fight. Alright, what do I do about you guys? I want to take out both of these ships if possible. I move forward, I can get you here, and that's probably enough. Actually, I don't even need to move that far forward. If we go here, then I can... Yeah, I won't have locked myself into a direct path yet. Hopefully early next year. It looks good. From what I've seen, it does look really good. So I am hopeful to see how they handle it. Owlcat's known for making really good games, so I suspect it's going to be quite good. Alright, looks like we are going to still need to move a bit more forward for you to be in range.
This one's going down.
Bloody throne, we're gonna die. What's taking so long with the engines? I assume that's the Cobra class? Doesn't say, but probably. Still need to move forward a couple more squares to get you in range of this weapon.
Bleed them.
There you go. If I use this ability, we could get back onto a better heading quicker. Yeah. It gets me going sort of the right direction. Alright, well, it's good to have you here, Songheart.
Onward!
I can't do the shallow jump because that puts us inside of that ship, so I think that's all I'm going to be able to do this round. I can actually put out
Unleash our...
another set of interceptors. Alright, let's get you guys going this way. Okay, Reddit link that explains Eldar and Imperium? Probably. I know there are a bunch of Eldar factions, but I don't know all of them. So, yeah. I'm learning bits about their relationships, but there's plenty I don't know yet. One down. So are we down to just 2 ships left plus their interceptor? Unless more jump in. So yeah, we should be able to take them out and keep these ships safe easy enough. What are you doing? All right. Let's use this again so that I can get some better angles, because that's not the best. I went here, I would not be able to... Nope, not trying to click. No, they're just barely outside of my firing arc. If I was there... There we go. So if I came in at that angle, I would be able to shoot with that weapon. Then hopefully... Oh, I probably couldn't move any farther because that interceptor is going to get in the way. Alright, so if we assume that I'm not going to be able to get my lance weapon on them, stop right-clicking on ships. Yeah, there's a bunch of these spots that I can't actually get to. Oh, I can get there, actually. Ah, still no angle. Oh, nope, it's allowing that. There we go. That'll get that shot and that shot. Are the two of those... Well, I guess, is this better than this shot? And I think the answer is probably yes. move forward to there. I think that's a fine spot to go. Your shields are already pretty far down, so we'll shoot at you instead.
This one's going down.
Do not miss your chance, Elantak.
I'm not gonna miss my chances.
Bleed them.
Enemy shield is down. Time to unleash your counterattack.
Okay, and we'll do a warp wave. Get a bit more damage in. And yeah, we can't get any additional attacks, but that's fine. I sent you in as far as you can go. Come on, click there. Are you just unwilling to go into that square? Probably so. So if I put you here, who do you have a shot on? Just their interceptor. The factions are vastly different. The Eldar escaped before Slaanesh, billions of years before. The Dark Eldar were corrupted but lived on worlds not destroyed. The Harlequins escaped with their laughing god, who was too weak to escape Slaanesh. The Eldar was not just one race. I thought... My understanding, which is very obviously wrong, I was thinking that they sort of broke apart when Slaanesh was formed. So you're saying that they broke apart before Slaanesh formed? Okay. More enemies arriving. Alright, fine. Can you zoom in on... There we go. What is this question mark? In this zone, transport ships can safely make a warp jump. Okay. So is the goal to get... The goal is to get them over to here. Gotcha. So they're probably just going to keep jumping in ships until these guys all get over there, which they're not going to while we keep blocking their path.
The impure tremble. Turn to ashes.
Craft world's left before. Okay. Again, they are too far away. So I could get us to move farther. I could do a ram. To get a little bit farther. Nah, it's not going to let me unless there's actually something to ram. That's fair. You read the Eldar Warhammer army books a while ago now? Okay. I don't think I've read anything really Eldar focused. So, I've read a bit of Horus Heresy. I'm starting to go through Gaunt's Ghosts at the moment. Read The Infinity and the Divine, which is about Necrons, so I know a bit more about them. It's most of what I've read. Oh, and the Eisenhorn trilogy, because the Inquisition is great.
Annihilate!
Move you forward. I think that's going to be that interceptor's last turn, so they're not going to be able to do anything useful. but you can actually get over here and join the fight. I'll send you here. Well, we did some damage, but more importantly, did a good bit of damage to their shields. Inquisition is a really good story arc, yeah. Inquisition as a whole is really cool. Slowly making progress towards the exit. Alright, I can take shots on you guys from this side, and I think I shall.
Fire right now! This one goes down.
Nice. Still have my left side. If I wait here, yes, I can get you with my main gun.
Fire the lance batteries.
Smite the enemies of humanity.
The Eldar brought the Inquisition to the Black Library. I'm assuming by Black Library you're not talking about just the learn how to fight chaos. Okay. Because I know Games Workshop calls their volume of books, their novels, the Black Library. You're probably talking about something in lore called the Black Library.
Time has come. Leave the hull strewn across the star.
Ah, not quite dead. Shame. Can't launch another interceptor, sadly.
Lay in the course.
Yep, and now you are just returning to my ship. If I sent you here, can you get close enough to shoot? No. Instead, I'll send you here, let you take a shot on this guy. Black Library is a place in the warp where the Eldar documented their knowledge of chaos, its demons, and how to fight them. I believe the Harlequins guard it. Cool. Makes sense. Oh. I will go there, I suppose. Webway, yeah. Not surprisingly, Eldari don't like going into the actual warp itself. Webway makes a lot more sense. Alright, we have a ship here and here. Are those the last two enemy ships? I think so, at least for now. No real good way for me to get down to attack this one. I can't shoot you there. Okay. That will allow me to shoot you.
This one's going down.
Do not hesitate. Show no mercy.
Perfect. That'll get you in range here, which is probably good enough. I was trying to see if I could maybe do a jump to be able to still get him with a side gun, but I don't think I need to.
Bleed them.
Oh, there is another ship. Well, I'll head over there soon enough, I'm sure. And didn't do the kind of damage I was hoping for. The interceptors are still trying to figure out how to get back to my ship. Denied the existence of chaos, the Imperium did not study it, and proper ways to fight it. This is why they were woefully unprepared to deal with it. Yeah, I know they were using warp travel, but I think from what I've heard, one of the reasons the Emperor stepped back from the war at that point was he was investigating the webway and trying to find other ways of allowing mankind to travel the stars without interacting with the warp. So obviously that didn't work out because the whole Horus heresy thing. But I think his plan was just don't tell people about the warp and then stop having any further interactions with it. He was trying to destroy or contain it. Okay. Yeah.
This one's going down.
I revel in the spectacle of their glittering ruin.
Alright, besides that interceptor, that is all of the ships currently around. Alright, battle's over. So we managed to take them out. We got another level up on our ship, which is great. Basic scraps and trophies, etc. Reporting, all enemy vessels destroyed. When will these upstarts get the message? You attack a rogue trader, you'll be floating in the void like a dead rat in a lower decker's soup. Who were they? How did they know we were here? What are the barges? They all survived. Report received. We're moving out. Marshal Strux must be told about what happened here. Who were they? Well coordinated, well equipped, signatures encrypted. Those weren't the nameless, some nameless void rabble. They were professionals, mercenaries, Lord Captain. Yeah, the Ecclesiarchy was planning to hire mercenaries to help out with this. And I thought at the time that seemed like a bad idea. Suddenly, some very well-funded mercenaries try and take the ships from us mid-travel. Not buying it. How did they know where we were? The Vox relays the sound of heavy spitting. Traitors. Some of them had infiltrated the crew. A dozen voidsmen, a few officers, and thrown even one astropath. That eyeless scumbag sent his mates the system's coordinates when we arrived. Their ships must have been patrolling this region in the hopes of discovering Lethus. Where are these traitors? I wish to interrogate them. The Master-at-Arms handled their interrogations personally, and she managed to break the most resistant ones. In short, we learned that they wanted to destroy part of the tithe and retreat. Strange behavior for pirates, wouldn't you agree? The last one spat out a cryptic warning along with his entrails. By the time you get back to Dargonus, it will be too late. I don't know what that means exactly. And what are the barges? Successfully translated into the warp and are now on their way to the designated coordinates, Lord Captain. Alright, report received. We are moving out. Marshal Strux must be told about what happened here. And even though I clicked to upgrade my ship, that didn't happen. We don't need to make any repairs. Shockingly enough, we took no damage. So I guess let's upgrade our ram a bit. Remember the outpost that you fought in a source battle? That was an Eldari battle station that was built a long time ago to battle the Necron. A Soas battle? Space battle, maybe? I do recall battling at a space station at one point. Like a highly advanced space station that was shooting at us. That may be what you're referring to. That was a while ago. So my memory is not super up to date. Okay, we could give more armor. Okay, so yes, that one. I vaguely recall it. So that was an Eldari station. Cool. Improved RAM. I don't use the RAM ever. Repairing the void ship costs less scrap. Nice, but not critical. Silent running would allow us to start encounters earlier. Steady hand 2 allow us to use our abilities more often. That one's definitely a strong contender. Don't really care for shield pulse. We're gonna go with steady hand 2. And I guess silent running. What is silent running 2? Okay, so it guarantees it. Silent running 1 says in most encounters we start early. Silent running 2 says in all. Okay. Anything to upgrade? Can't upgrade this because we haven't used it yet. Expeditious reload. I need to remember to use that. Okay. Well, let's see. Vibos requires our presence. It was abandoned by the Eldar and repurposed by the Imperium. It is also a powerful anti-chaos device. The Imperium doesn't know how to fully use them. There are a few of them. I think we blew it up, as I recall. So, probably not the best solution, but it was a good solution at the time. Alright, Dargonus is where we need to go. So I guess we will hold off before dealing with Vivos. No, I left it. Oh, good. Cool. Again, it was a while ago and I can't fully remember everything that I've done in a playthrough. I try and keep most of the major details straight in my head, but this game has been going on so long that some things get forgotten. Had the option to move it to my home world, yeah. Urgent report, Lord Captain. The barges carrying the tithe have been seized and are heading off in an unknown direction. Multiple sources are voxing the flagship at once. I detect the signatures of several noble houses and the administratum. Who dared to seize the sacred tithe? What do the noble houses want? What does the administratum message say? Who would dare to seize the sacred tithe? We are getting reports of it being an order of the Adeptus Administratum. We've received several official forms to the effect that Dargonus' orbit is currently deemed unsafe for tithe storage due to an unspecified threat that has sprung up on the world in your absence. What do the noble houses want? The Vox is silent for several minutes. The messages have no discernible structure or cause. Professions of loyalty, audience requests, even pleas for leniency. One thing is clear, Lord Captain. Something has agitated the upper echelons of the nobility. In other words, they're scared. And what does the administratum message say? You're requested to come to the Palace of Justice in person. The prefect speaks of a terrible heresy that is threatening the Von Valencia's protectorate. While you are away, steps were taken to prevent the spread of corruption. However, your presence is required to make the final decision. Prefect Vultor will meet you in person for the confidential conversation. What do you say, Solomon? It seems the law faltered on Dargonus as soon as its master left it unattended. The disjointed reports from the ground sound strange, if not outright suspicious, but only you can put an end to any heresy on your own planet. You're right, Vigis. Prepare a shuttle for me and my retinue. I could not ignore this if I wanted to, so let's find out what heresy is threatening my domain. Tithe bars must be recovered at any cost. I will depart for the planet at once. So, all three of these are essentially saying the same thing. I think finding out what heresy is threatening my domain is the current high priority. As you will, Lord Captain. There's a lot of lore and they allude to multiple areas. Smart how they made it attractive to the Venetian and novice gamer. Yeah, the game is great even if you don't know 40k lore, and it calls out enough to enough areas that what little people, because no one knows all 40k lore. I'm not going to say no one does. There's probably some people who do, but most people have their areas that they focus on as their favorite areas of lore, and they call it to enough of it that they're probably going to call out to whatever areas different people find interesting, which I think was a very good way of handling it. Dargonus is crying out for aid, Lord Captain. Riots over the interpretation of scripture have broken out in several hives across the world. While hunting for the agents of the Cult of the Final Dawn, the ecclesiarchy clamped down on the planet's minor cults, attempting to force correct adherence to the creed upon the populace. The commoners grumble about the oppression of the minor cults, even daring to claim that the holy ecclesiarchs have assumed the sole right to speak for the God Emperor. Many of the disgruntled flee to the ruins of the Scipion hive since the Foreman clan has promised them protection and support. It is even said that the Foreman supply the malcontents with weapons converted from industrial equipment in case of large-scale clashes. The enforcers and the agents of the ecclesiarchy have been able to curb the malcontents so far, but division grows wider by the day. Well, glad you could make it. Yeah, and spell check is rough. You always hope it's going to help out, but often it doesn't. Why are the foremen involved in this as well? A great question, Lord Captain. This group does come up in the reports from the capital world rather often. I can assume that this is due to the fact that their now ruined home, Scipion, they used to have a prevalent, more simplistic form of revering the Emperor. The preachers there used to teach the Scipions the importance of hard work and the labor collective's familial unity, but seldom the importance of order and hierarchy. They offered their congregation a form of faith that was simple, cheap, convenient, and functional as their work clothes. And now they seem to think that the priests who wallow in luxury want to take this away from them. Is there any reason to believe that the disturbances are inspired by heretics? Thankfully, no, your lordship. The rabble-rousers zealously oppose heresy, fill the ranks of the planetary guard with new recruits, regularly outperform quotas, and attend prayer service. The Foreman clan has been actively involved in uncovering the underground devotees of the ruinous powers and has discovered 2 large and successfully operating cells. Our agents are quite confident that the likelihood of them harboring agents of the Cult of the Final Dawn is far lower than in other segments of the population. So without our advisors, we have the option of gaining security and a Book of Minor Prayers at the cost of complacency. Book of Minor Prayers being where cannot use psychic or navigator powers, the wearer gains 40% chance to ignore damage from psychic and navigator powers. I mean, there's plenty of people in my retinue who aren't using psychic and navigator powers. It would benefit from not having to take psychic damage. The ecclesiarchy should curb their appetite. They should go fight against dissent somewhere where it will not end in riots. Where we gain complacency, lose security, and patron of cults. All allies gain 15 lore Imperium. I mean, a bonus to all of us gaining some skills seems more useful than a relic that I'm probably not going to bother equipping to anyone. Are you familiar with Wizards and Warriors YouTube channel? They do good animated history of the lore. I am not. I could potentially check them out. I'd like to hear what my advisors have to say. Small deviances in the creed beget large ones, and large ones beget heresy. Our faith is founded upon absolute trust in those above us, and if these people's belief push them towards dissent, then those beliefs have been wicked from the very beginning. But that does not necessarily make the preachers themselves wicked, perhaps simply misguided. We could pass them into the ecclesiarchy's care for re-education so that they may see the truth, and it would also guarantee their flock's obedience. I don't agree with Abelard here. There are a lot of faiths, cults even, that are accepted as being accurate, even if they are, or being allowed, even if they do deviate from the standard Imperial Creed. For instance, the Cult of the Bloodspun Web, that we have a assassin Bloodspun Web member of our party. That is definitely very different from standard Imperial faith, but is still an accepted Imperial cult, where the belief, though different from standard teachings of the God Emperor, are still accepted as close enough and therefore fine. Tech Priest is a different cult, and that's pretty far from standard Imperial Creed, but is still accepted, mostly because it's necessary, but also because of some, minor belief that, oh yeah, the Omnissiah that you worship is kind of also the God Emperor, so you're technically not breaking Imperial law, so we'll allow it to slide. Which I think is a bit... It's pushing it. Because you talk to any tech priest, and it doesn't seem like they're worshipping the God Emperor. Shireen, perhaps you should stop allowing the fat cardinals and their servants to do whatever they want to your people. Rein them in. Faith in the Exalted One is not contained within the ranks and titles, but within the hearts and hands of the common people. And even this can take many forms as well. Let those who shoulder the welfare of Dargonus at least choose in what manner they pray to him. Take the minor cults under your protection. Those who wish to worship him in their own way, yeah. So like she has her own way of worship that's different than the standard Imperial creed taught by the ecclesiarchy. And it's fine. Those who wish to worship him in their own way must prove their right to do so. The only help that would be proper in this situation is to provide instruction. Send one of the spinners to show how they can defend themselves. They will either take up arms and protect their faith, or bow down. So they are struggling to interpret the scriptures. I know one sacred text that proceeds from the Emperor, and that invites very few conflicting readings. The Lex Imperialis. None of the troublemakers would dare question the importance of his law, or misconstrue what is written. It would serve them well to settle down and study the Injuncta Cardinal from cover to cover. Read the Lex Imperialis, all like 10,000 volumes or something. Cover to cover. Yes. I mean, maybe the Injuncta Cardinal is just a specific smaller set than the sum total of the Lex Imperialis. I don't know. Detain the preachers of the troublemakers and send them to be re-educated. That now gives bonuses with the Drusians. Ooh, that's a lot more tempting. We still get the Book of Minor Prayers and Security, but it no longer costs us complacency. Send a spinner to Dargonus, bearing guidance. Let's see how firm they are in their beliefs. Gain security and grace of death. All allies gain a critical hit chance bonus. That's very good. The newfound death cults on Dargonus offer nightly prayers for the Undying One to guide the rogue trader's hand in battle. Minor cults are hereby under my protection. Would give a bonus to Fellowship of the Void, who I don't really care about and we haven't been trying to befriend. Patron of cults, all allies gain Lord Imperium and some complacency. Or the Lex Imperialis shall be a new pillar of faith for all without exception, which just gives security. I don't know, relationship with Drusians is very tempting. But a critical hit chance is also nice. Yeah, you need more Drusian faction support? I know I do. So I think I'm going to go with that one. Detain the preachers of these troublemakers and send them to be re-educated. We're not really struggling in combat, like at all. So, as much as I like the idea of boosting our critical hit chance, I don't really need it. And we do need more relationship with the Drusians. Good. The hostages will keep their flocks from making rash decisions. The enforcers firmly dispelled the crowds with shock batons and choke gas. They burst into the chapels of the condemned cults, beat the servants, smashed any sacred symbols deemed unorthodox, and smothered the dangerous embers of spiritual disunion looming over the planet. Relics that were not an affront to the God Emperor were confiscated. Religious freedom. The disobedient preachers were shackled and brought into the sanctuaries of the ecclesiarchy to learn the true meaning of the creed through humility and obedience. Their flock, intimidated by unspoken threats of violent reprisal against their spiritual leaders, have since fallen silent. Excellent. And that gives us Bastion. I guess let's look at what we can build next. So Bastion now unlocks Schola Progenium, which is good, a Librarium, or Society of Cartographers. So the Schola Progenium, a new entry into the annals of Dargonus, the fate of millions of orphans whose parents fell in the fire that gripped the Expanse. It would give us, or it would cost us some provisions and some weapons. We would get Loyalist Garb, a light armor, 50%. 50% is pretty high armor for light armor. The wearer is not moved during their turn. Their cover efficiency is increased by 20% for 1 round. If the wearer moves at least 3 cells per turn, they gain plus 20% dodge for 1 round. So if you're either standing in place or moving at least 3 cells, you're quite a bit dodgier. That looks really good. Costs us profit factor, gains more efficiency and security throughout the Imperium, and 21 more people. Not that people is really a problem at the moment, but I do like the general feel of this one. Librarium. Since Dargonus is an educated world, it is the right place to establish a secret librarium where scholars of the arcane will be free to share their knowledge and delve into the forbidden. Probably not that. Cost us Xenotech. We would need secret layer to have been built on Janus. I do like that this one tells us that it's Janus. Most of them don't tell you. It's just like, this has to be somewhere. And I'm like, where? This helps Casablanca mission, which I don't care about. Gains us profit factor and echo of victory. Whenever the wearer attacks any target in a 5-cell radius around them with a ranged weapon, this attack deals 13% more damage. Yeah, none of that really matters to me. A society of cartographers. Bravest captains will unite under the rogue trader's aegis. Upon being offered invaluable charts and other assistance with their expeditions, the Voidfarers will repay the favor with goodwill and trophies. Cost Promethium and mechanisms. Lose profit factor. Gain relationship with Imperial Navy. That's not bad. Xenotech and Adamantine, which we could use. And then Woebringer as a Drukhari weapon. Yeah, probably not. It's a powerful two-handed sword, but I don't have anyone that's really using two-handed melee weapons that also has Drukhari proficiency. Probably gonna go with the Scholar Progenium. Even though I would like the Navy relationship. This one feels better for our dogmatic playthrough. Now, back to what we were actually here for, the Palace of Justice. And yeah, Solomon will come with us. The rest of the team, I think, is fine. It's our usual team. You may be able to get that with one of your contracts. Oh, you mean the adamantine and whatnot? Yeah, there's a lot of contracts that I haven't looked at lately. I mostly look at them when I realize I need more points for other things. Probably should look at more contracts. Prefect Inscribia Vultur raises her eyes to you. Rogue Trader von Valencius, welcome back to the Palace of Justice. What is happening on Dargonus? What is the cause of the panic? And why this private conversation? Are the Tithe Bars detained? Very good question. Is the world under attack? Are there any casualties? Also good. I'm still thinking that she's guilty. That's my ongoing theory until proven otherwise. What is the cause of the panic and why this private conversation? That is why you are here, is it not? To learn why the world is distressed, why the air is charged with Vox transmissions. Any administrator worth their station would be concerned. Disruptions to established processes always lead to, well, no matter. The prefect peers at your face. Her voice sounds strange, deeper, calmer, less cantankerous than usual. Have you ever pondered the nature of heresy, von Valencius? Perhaps to your mind, heresy is merely limited to Xenos, Warpspawn, and Insurgents. But there are other heresies whose existence is far more easily forgotten. Those of negligence and avarice, of confusion and disorder. What are you getting at? Enough of this nonsense, answer me plainly. Whatever form it may take, heresy always treads quietly, unbeknownst to its ultimate victim. I believe both of us have given some thought to this in recent days. If there's any interesting equipment that I haven't picked up from vendors, probably. What are you getting at? Rogue Trader Ignatius von Valencius, in accordance with the amendment to Decree 64-98 DF issued by the Adeptus Administratum and the Adeptus Arbites, you stand accused of countless heresies that threaten the sacred tithe and the well-being of the Protectorate. All related statements have been formulated and evidence of your crimes registered. The proceedings will commence as soon as you and your accomplices present yourselves as the accused. The prefect looks at you with the eyes of a snake. A trial awaits you, Ignatius. Yeah, she's guilty. She's been intentionally twisting things so that we would look bad just for this moment. Who in the void do you think you are? A trial is my protectorate. I am the law here. This was all one carefully orchestrated spectacle, wasn't it? Yeah. Or grab our weapon. Yeah, I'm gonna go with 3. We could ask who she thinks she is, but she's in a position where she has the authority to call us out. She's just intentionally twisted things to make us look for on all the records so that she can use that authority. But it's not that she's doing anything outside of her purview. And she knows it. This was all one carefully orchestrated spectacle, wasn't it? The prefect, who was about to turn away, stops and glances back at you with a fatigued look. What? You twisted my report on Thessar to paint me as a heretic. Your only goal has been to get your hands on the tithe from Lethus. Both probably true. That one's certainly true. You spied on me. You knew every word I said. How does it feel to sneak glances at one whom you could never hope to become? Or a terrible persuasion. Oh, this is using our own stats. We don't get to use Cassia's stats, who would be perfect at both of these. You wanted to go to Lethus yourself. A foolish mistake, Prefect. Your impatience was too obvious. Just admit it, you set me up. No, we're going with the awareness. I don't want to miss that. You spied on me. You knew every word I said. How does it feel to sneak glances at one whom you could never hope to become? Your taunt hits its mark. An angry grimace passes over the Prefect's face. She immediately recomposes herself, but it is too late. You saw how much your words have offended her, and she knows that you caught her reaction. Unsubstantiated conjecture mixed with an inflated sense of self-importance. I am honored to do my duty wherever his will commands me to be. You twisted my report on Thessar to paint me as a heretic. All I did was provide a summary of the results of your expedition, a summary stripped of dubious attributes such as declarations of good intentions and de-emphasizes consequences. Your only goal has been to get your hands on the tithe from Lethus. Wilter sighs. Not everyone is driven by greed and thrill-seeking, rogue trader. I see your position has clouded your mind, regrettable but unsurprising. Without due discipline in judgment and actions, it is only the most likely terminus. I'm going to try this persuasion. We're going to fail it, but I'm going to try it. I succeeded on the 15%. We rolled a 13. Fantastic. Yet another painful crease appears on the prefect's brow. You feel confident that your comment got to her. I simply wish to do what you as Theodora's successor was supposed to do. Protect the sacred tithe. There is no point in trying to present my reasonable desire in a damning light. Coercion. Again, a terrible chance. Cassia was here. We'd have this, no problem. Which is why they didn't let her be here. Your blatant attempts at manipulation were painful to observe. The crude works of a talentless old crone who thinks herself worthy of judging those who are superior to her in every regard. Just admit it, you set me up. We're going to try the coercion. It's going to fail, but I said that about the 15%, and we got that. No, it failed. As expected. The prefect looks at you in the eye without blinking. Her lips slowly stretch into a faint smile visible only to you. Resorting to insults in the face of imminent downfall? How base, Von Valencius. Not unlike yourself. She makes a gesture towards the arbitrators and turns away. So we could just attack her here, which isn't going to work out in our favor, particularly with the 10% athletics. So we will go to trial. So be it. Let's see what you have prepared for me. The prefect gives a dispassionate nod to the arbitrators behind you and turns away. And now she's sitting in our chair. Yeah. In the name of the God Emperor, the Von Valencius dynasty stands accused of betraying the Imperium. To the murmurs of all, the prefect picks up a scroll bearing the Administratum seals. The trial is public so that all may see the rogue trader's heresies and know that status and power are no shield against righteous punishment. Marshal Strox, you have the floor. State the list of crimes against the Lex Imperialis that will be examined here today. With practiced skill, Strox's voice reverberates through the hall, conspiring to steal the sacred tithe, undermining the legitimate authorities of an imperial world, involving sorcery and damage to the tithe, conceiving and executing plans to disrupt sector-wide tithe shipments. Interrupts Strox. I deny the whole pack of lies. The charges are fabricated, and this trial of a rogue trader is a farce. Jan, will this take much longer? Abelard, answer the charges. Listen in silence or attack. I'm bored of this farce. By the rights granted to me by the sacred warrant, I declare this trial concluded and you both guilty. I don't know that the marshal is guilty. She is certainly guilty. That much has been made clear. But depending on what she's told him, he could be acting on false beliefs and therefore not guilty himself. Abelard, answer the charges. I like having Abelard give my statements for me. It amuses me. Barely containing his seething rage, Abelard thunders, Ignatius von Valentius, bearer of the sacred warrant, the God Emperor's anointed and sovereign of the Protectorate, denies these false accusations. The Administratum and Adeptus Arbites will not get away with this flagrant attempt to sully the rogue trader's good name and plunder his dynasty's coffers. Make no mistake. Let the record show the defendant disregarded the opportunity given to him to repent, which only adds to the gravity of his guilt. We will proceed to the examination of the individual heresies committed by the defendant. Conspiring with the captain of the Heartless to steal the sacred tithe. I love the complete FU responses. Playing evil could be funny. Absolutely. I've never been much for playing evil in games, but part of me wants to see how it would play out. But particularly when I'm playing a game that builds party members so well, like detailed, and they want you to really connect with them, I struggle to play evil as it involves them. Because I don't want to be evil to my party members or push them down an evil path. Games that are more silly about the evil, like Fable games. When I played Fable 1, yeah, I played evil. I played good as well at once, but I did one playthrough evil just to see, because it didn't feel bad to me to play it. So something like this, I think I would struggle with going evil. Conspiring with the captain of the Heartless to steal the sacred tithe. Upon arriving on Rykad Minoris, the rogue trader aided Captain Sargona in loading the tithe onto his ship under the cover of a planetary riot. Ignatius von Valentius later eliminated his accomplice using Adeptus Arbites forces led by Proctor Anthar. The Proctor attempted to appease the rogue traders and agreed by offering the frigate, known as the Heartless, in exchange for the safety of the tithe. After realizing the utter incorruptibility of the Arbites, the rogue trader attempted to destroy the tithe ship. Only the timely intervention of the Proctor saved the sacred tribute. Then the rogue trader boarded the ship in an attempt to seize the tithe. His actions led to the death of a squad of arbitrators. Proctor Anthar alone survived the rogue trader's murderous ploy. Ignatius von Valentius personally eliminated his accomplice, Captain Sargona, in order to destroy the evidence of his schemes. The prefect looks up from the scroll and sweeps her indifferent gaze over you. Do you have anything to say in your defense? Ah, now I get to have my party members help. So I can just say, Solomon, tell them what really happened. Or I can let Solomon use his coercion skill. I can appeal to your own common sense, Marshal Strux. Can you recall even one instance where a heretic attempted to steal the tithe while taking a few dozen arbitrators along for company? Very good. Persuasion with Cassia. You were talking nonsense. With all due respect for Solomon's capabilities, if I had wanted to get rid of him and his arbitrators and steal the tithe, there's no way he could have stopped me. Very true as well. I will never confess to something I did not do, much less something I never had any intention of doing. It's an interesting tale. You forgot the part where we were suddenly attacked by a void kraken, but Solomon bravely fought it off with a can opener in his bootlaces. Say nothing or just attack. We're going to go with Cassia's persuasion. You're talking nonsense. With all due respect for Solomon's capabilities, if I had wanted to get rid of him and his arbitrators and steal the tithe, there's no way he could have stopped me. A furrow cuts across Strock's brow. Attempting to threaten a rogue trader on his own vessel would indeed have been an imprudent choice. Let a new charge be added to the record, attempting to manipulate an official. Marshal, I hope I do not need to remind you of your duty. Giving Strox a suspicious look, the prefect turns back to the documents. According to the calculation of the tithe transferred from the Heartless, the Administratum was short 3 units of volume. It is presumed that the rogue trader did not risk seizing more in the presence of the Proctor, but even 1 ounce unaccounted for makes the tithe incomplete. Let's move on to Thesara. This world underpaid the appropriate tithe amount, a crime that should have been remedied by the rogue trader escorting Proctor Anthar to the backwater world. To the backward world. Proctor, you are hereby called to testify. Describe what happened on the planet. When we arrived on Thesara, the rogue trader and I were drawn into the machinations of the planetary governor. He used sorcery on the Emperor's anointed, but the rogue trader managed to overcome the effects of the ritual and do battle with the heretic. The governor was executed, and we... the governor was executed, and we... A lie uttered in the Palace of Justice is a serious offense, Proctor. Glado, retrieve recording Thesara 84/Alpha. Did they put a false memory on Glado? The prefect nods to the marshal, who removes a device from his belt. The press of a button, and Glado responds with a sharp metallic clang. Cybermastiff's paw carry him to Strox. Cybermastiff's entire body begins to tremble, his feet clawing up tiny sparks, and then he projects a picture recording from his eyes onto the floor. The footage depicts a scene from Glado's viewpoint. The quality is terrible, but you can make out the hall where the sculptor is conducting the sinister ritual. You see Maeve interfere with the ritual, and the beam of warp energy connecting the two of you. You hear Solomon's command. The scene changes, and you see Maeve, or rather yourself in Maeve's body, wandering through the streets of Thesara. The next clip brings you back to the hall where Solomon is firing on the altar. The events in the recording are echoed by dragging pain in your muscles and a fog in your head. Okay, so that all seems accurate. Solomon's face turns lifeless, his knuckles white. I thought my wholehearted loyalty to the Lex was obvious, but you were monitoring me, keeping tabs on me like some kind of outsider, like a non-arbitrator. You even dragged Glado into it too. It would have been better if you'd installed your damned recording devices in me. I always recommend an auto-eject switch in one's throne chair. I mean, that sounds dangerous. But yes. As we can observe, Proctor Anthar destroyed the heretical altar, and then a fight ensued in which the psyker died. There is not a single shred of evidence that the rogue trader actually overcame the sorcery. It is more likely that the person standing before us is a heretic and a creature of corruption. Or Warp 90, the consciousness in this body is my own. Any psyker capable of mind reading can confirm it. Good, but it's not 100%. Or coercion. Did you watch the entire recording? Notice any differences in behavior, did you? Well, cannot prove that my consciousness is in my body no more than you can yours. Show consent and say nothing or attack. I mean, the lore warp is the better choice, but I don't want to go with a 90% and risk failing here. And this is fine. It doesn't feel as convincing to me. Did you watch the entire recording? Notice any differences in behavior, did you? Well, Strox huffs a laugh. You seem to be quite offended by the insinuation that you are prone to fainting spells. Well, it is quite strange. Marshal. The old woman stares at the arbitrator without blinking, as if hypnotizing him. Finally, convinced that the marshal's conversation with you is over before it even began, she returns to her papers. Yeah, so I'm not certain that the marshal is with her. I think she just convinced him, but the marshal is trying to do the right thing. She's guilty, of course. The prefect leafs through a few pages in a folder. The court also takes note of the pernicious effects of the rogue trader's handling of the Emperor's servants entrusted to his authority. Since arriving from Thesara, the rogue trader has done his duty by passing judgment on several subjects within the walls of this hollowed hall. The prefect picks up the sheet of notes and wrinkles her nose. Connivance at the doleful host's fanaticism and the loss of a value astropath resulted in the appointment of a new choir master. That same day, he lost several messages of utmost importance, thus sparking a war between two Koronus Expanse worlds. As of now, one of those worlds has been completely destroyed and the other deemed uninhabitable. You're telling me that because I required a astropath to be replaced, and a new astropath put in charge, the new astropath that I didn't choose failed to deliver some messages, and that got so out of control that two worlds are destroyed or uninhabitable. And that's being put on my shoulders. Inscribia picks up the scroll that carries the ecclesiarchy seal. Allow me to read out the decision of the honored representative of St. Drusus's mission. We brand the one who dared it subject... Oh, right. It was St. Drusus's mission that we said they were free to kill the astropath if they declared that they were a religious organization. That's how that one played out. We brand the one who dared subject Anvalis, a holy votary of the faith, to a martyr's death, a heretic, and an associate to evil of every kind. Lord Mullis, deemed to be alive, committed a transgression of soft-heartedness in running his family enterprise. He released all his convicted workers and terminated the contracts with his primary suppliers, citing their immoral qualities. His actions resulted in 12 kilotons of undelivered food rations across several recipients. First, the Administratum is unable to do its duty and asked for help, and now it has the audacity to criticize the verdicts of the rogue trader. Prefect, your accusations do not merely cast aspersions on the competence of the Administratum, they challenge the sanctity of the decisions of the Emperor's anointed. Persuasion, I cannot predict the future. A poor outcome is a possibility in every case. If I had chosen a different path, the Prefect still would have found fault with it. Very true. Or Lore Imperium, these cases were under the jurisdiction of the Lex Dargonus. Responsibility for the consequences lies with you. Also great. It's all a terrible mistake. They made a right mess of this, haven't they? The talents of my subjects never ceases to amaze me. I'm gonna go with the Lore Imperium. I mean, just saying that I can't predict the future doesn't feel as damning against her as saying this is actually your fault. The cases were under the jurisdiction of the Lex Dargonus. Responsibility for the consequences lies with you. Your words are true. Crimes committed after a verdict are cause for new convictions, not... Marshal, enough! Not a single muscle twitches on the prefect's face, but her eyes blaze with barely suppressed annoyance. Moving on, the defendant was placed in an unprecedented position of trust by the Adeptus Arbites and the Administratum. He was entrusted with the coordinates of the world where the tithe of the entire Koronus Expanse was held. As agreed, the defendant was to transport the sacred tribute to Dargonus, but what did he do? We did so. The Marshal snaps her fingers over Glado's head. The Cybermastiff flinches as if from a bolter shot, but obediently plays another recording. You recognize Solomon's voice. So Lady Theodora intended to steal the tithe from the start. She arranged the world's destruction to cover her tracks, installed a servant to keep an eye on things, and even made a contingency plan in case of her own death. All she needed was an opportune moment like this one. With the Expanse being torn apart, the plan's death looks convincing. Tithe theft, orchestrated by Theodora von Valentius, committed by the defendant, witnessed by Proctor Anthar. Solomon, don't you have anything to say? I intended to return the tithe to Marshal Strox in full, regardless of Theodora's plans, which is very true. But we'll let Solomon say it. This court has no authority, as it is part of the Prefect Vultur's machinations. Subversion of the Emperor's justice will not be tolerated. Solomon's gaze sweeps over the arbitrators and pauses on the Marshal. I am forced to explain the obvious, and it only underscores the blindness that has afflicted the servants of his law. But he's not going to say any farther. I intended to return the tithe to Marshal Strox in full, regardless of Theodora's plans. On the matter of the sacred tithe, we rely on facts, not your words. That Theodora planned to steal the tithe is established fact. The destruction of Lethus is also beyond dispute. To allow you to execute your plan would have been highly imprudent. The sacred tithe is not intended to be used by anyone other than the Adeptus Administratum, the deliverers of his will. Strox does not turn to look at Inscribia, but you have no doubt about whom he is addressing. The Adeptus Administratum, like the Adeptus Arbites, only oversees the allocation of the tithe. I do not need to remind you of that, do I, Prefect? Yeah. So she's trying to say that they have the authority to use it, and he's like, no, you don't. You have the authority to allocate where it goes, but not its use. Vultur sets the pile of papers down heavily on the table and looks around the room. While the proceedings are nearing their conclusion, the prefect looks around at the nobles of Dargonus gathered in the hall. The collection of transgressions and heresies that have been brought before this court of the God Emperor's servants has once and for all branded the rogue trader an abomination, who thought all his deeds and has sought to satisfy his petty and base desires, rather than truly serve him. You are here today to witness the fall of the von Valentius dynasty and the long-awaited punishment that has been served upon it. Houses of Dargonus, do you reject the authority of this heretic? Governor Drivestrom, who in the past we have had trouble with. If I might interrupt, Mistress Vulture, Urban Drivestem, Governor of Dargonus, visibly nervous at the sight of the armed arbitrators, nevertheless raises his head haughtily. We are much obliged to you for arranging this gathering. The emphasis on the last word leaves no doubt that the noble's presence at the palace is involuntary. However, all that has now taken place here does not change the facts. House von Valentius holds the warrant of trade. House von Valentius is a rogue trader's dynasty, and no amount of legal contortions will change that. House Drivestem is loyal to the rogue trader. How about that? Thank you, Drivestem. Oriana Gaprak makes the sign of the Aquila. No shadow shall fall upon the name von Valentius or eclipse the radiance of the beneficent rogue trader's line. Whatever your mechanical dog may say, House Gaprak is loyal to the rogue trader. Macarius Sourback raises his head, his eyes burning with an almost deranged loyalty. Venerating the letter of the law is not fidelity to justice. Straying from the tenets of the lex is not discerning the essence of truth and the granting of retribution. The man is silent for a few seconds before he almost shouts out, House Sourback is loyal to the rogue trader. Ametio Viserion looks straight at you as if the prefect does not even exist. She makes the sign of the Aquila and speaks in a low voice. House Viserion is loyal to the rogue trader. Allow me to address you, even though I am not of the first families of Dargonus. Proctor Yeagar, Adeptus Arbites, Lethus Outpost. Ignatius von Valentius made every effort to not only save the tithe, but also the Arbites contingent stationed on Lethus. I propose that such an act would have been entirely nonsensical if the rogue trader was intent on simply stealing the tithe. End of report. Nice. Prefect Vulture stiffens as though what she just heard has come as a very unpleasant surprise. Her slender fingers grip the armrests of her chair, her knuckles cracking. This world and its denizens are rotten to the core. No, you are. The prefect draws herself up straight with such force that you hear the arduous grinding of her implants. Her voice is cold and slightly tremulous. Decree GC-781/89, Supplement 982, for tithe theft, participation in foul sorcery, and other crimes against the Imperium, Ignatius von Valentius is sentenced to death. The property of the dynasty is hereby confiscated and placed under the oversight of the Adeptus Administratum. Any last words, convict? Marshal Strux, you have heard my arguments and the prefect's distorted version of the truth. Do you require yet more information before you denounce the real culprit? Very good. Dogmatic. By the God Emperor's will, the von Valentius dynasty was granted a warrant of trade. Go against me and you go against the God Emperor. Marshal Strux and Prefect Vulture are hereby sentenced to death. Those who aided and abetted them in this plot will share the same fate. Also a decent choice, but again, I don't think the Marshal is necessarily against us. I think he believed her lies, but every time we pointed out that it was wrong, he realized that he had been lied to and that she was telling lies. So sentencing him to death, I guess, is kind of the Warhammer 40k way of anyone who is roughly associated with heresy is just assumed a heretic themselves and put to death. Iconoclast with a persuasion that we will succeed at. Arbitrators. Vulture and Strux believe the Lex Imperialis is but a collection of letters and forms to be played with as they please. They believe that you must blindly follow their orders, but whom do you defend, humanity or these prefects? I call upon you to stand with me in the name of humanity, not the soulless machine of the Administratum. Or heretical. Your evidence, arguments, and witnesses, and even the Lex Imperialis are just pathetic attempts to gain the upper hand over someone like me. There is only one law in the Expanse, and I am it, and I sentence you all to death for insubordination. I'm actually going to take this one, rather than the dogmatic option. Marshal Strux, you have heard my arguments and the prefect's distorted version of the truth. Do you require yet more information before you denounce the real culprit? There is weight in your arguments, Rogue Trader, but even if you are right about the prefect, that does not immediately disprove all the accusations against you. The right to judge is granted by the God Emperor. Can you swear that at this moment you are guided by the Lex Imperialis and not someone else's intent? Very good. It is a difficult thing to admit that one is in the wrong, Marshal. You have stumbled by putting your trust in Vultur, but I have faith that you will make the right choice now. Or heretical, you have demonstrated clearly that your vaunted Lex is worth nothing. You bend and mold the law to suit your desires, and yet power is so intoxicating, so difficult to give up. Am I wrong, Strux? You should have joined my side while you still had the chance. We're gonna go with the dogmatic. The right to judge is granted by the God Emperor. Can you swear that at this moment you are guided by the Lex Imperialis and not someone else's intent? Scribia heaves in a breath, ready to launch into a vehement tirade, but the Marshal raises his right hand and everyone falls silent. That is enough, Vultur. Vultur, I trusted you, and I failed to notice when your wise counsel turned into instructions and orders, when my every action became subject to your avaricious schemes rather than the Lex. But now I see things with perfect clarity, the way you try to manipulate the truth to achieve your ends. Clenching his fist struck thunders, you turned me into a puppet and then trampled on his laws. Very true. Prefect Inscribia Vultur, you are charged with fraud, attempted assassination of the Emperor's anointed, and undermining the foundations of the Lex Imperialis. Surrender now and accept a dignified death. I must refuse. Marshal Gregoris Strux, I charge you with treason against the Imperium and conspiring with a heretic. Fangs the Expanse to battle. And that is her mercenary group that she hired. Illegally. Mostly illegally. But it's now us, along with the Marshal and the Arbites, against her and her mercenaries. Alright, you're gonna put yourself in cover.
Submit, and you'll die quickly.
Alright. We do get to prepare, so this is not us being caught off guard. Are they considered in the battle region? Yes. She's got a glasscrete barrier in front of her. I don't actually see her unless that's her. Yes, that is her. So I'll need to tear down this barrier first. And then move forward. Probably need to take out this as well. Actually, it wouldn't surprise me if there is a button to turn that off somewhere that we could have Pascal run for. Unless it's all the way back here somewhere. Like one of these. Who knows? Because taking that down with 2,800 health will take a while. Anyway, with that out of the way, so we've got a handful of guys here. And you can actually see who they're targeting. That's unusual. So let's put ourselves in cover along with Cassia. What does this affect on us? Challenge issue Delta. Mercenary Delta uses dueling tactics against this character. To remove this effect, this character must deal damage to that mercenary. Interesting. So we all need to take out our individual accusers? That's certainly different. Alright, Abelard, you're getting challenged by this guy. No. You're getting challenged... Which one's targeting you? Is it this one? Okay, you're getting targeted by that guy. I'm getting challenged by him. Cassia is getting challenged by him. This is wild. Solomon, you are getting challenged by this person. Yeah? Yes. Just move Glado forward. Irliet. put you in cover there. You got to take out that guy, which won't be a problem for you. And lastly, Pascal, you got to take out this guy, which should be simple enough. Okay, I think we know who all we need to focus on individually. And then ideally, I want to get some shots off against her, which I think should be doable. Let's start the battle. Cassia goes first, of course, as always. I mean, I might just have Ignatius take out everyone before it actually becomes a problem. We'll start, as usual, by lighting ourselves on fire.
All too easy. Not a problem for me.
There. We do a run and gun. Could go. If I went somewhere like this, would I Melta? Oh, I don't have Melta available. Never mind. And let's not do that. Who do I think is going to have the hardest time attacking their target? I guess arguably I should attack my own target. Oh yeah, and we've got the Marshal right there, already on our side. When do you go? I do need to stay where Cassia can see me, so maybe moving isn't smart. If I just stay here. Light you on fire. There we go. That overcomes the Delta protocol. Yeah. I think I'll just stay here. Too many times in the past I've run forward to try and get an attack off, and then Cassia can't see us. It'd be a good idea to have a quick look at the enemy stats and abilities at the start. People like to read them. That's fair. So let's click on one of you people that is still active. 355. Mercenary Alpha. Are you guys all Mercenary Alphas? No. Alpha, Gamma. We've got accusers that... Should I be scared? Not really. An enforcer of the law makes an accusation. If the accused person is proven guilty by the end of their turn through their actions, the weapon of justice proceeds with inevitable retribution. An inevitable retribution, is that the gun firing? This weapon can be activated by Prefect Vulture or the accusers. If the accused person does not fulfill their required actions by the end of their turn, their guilt is considered proven and the weapon shoots towards them. If the accused person fulfills the requirements or kills the accuser by the end of their turn, the weapon shoots Prefect Vulture's direction instead. Ooh. Okay. But it has to be the accused person that's killing their accuser. Because we could kill the accusers easily enough. And by we, I mean my character. Alright, what about you guys? Dueling Tactics, Eyes of Oblivion, Combat Master. Okay, so a lot of just normal things that we're used to. Hotshot Las Gun. With a decent rate of... Not even that great rate of fire, 4 and only 6 to 8 damage. That is rather terrible. You all have the same stats? Yeah. These guys don't look scary at all. Like, not even a little bit. Do you have anything special going on, Vulture? If I can click you? I can't click you. Okay. And I also can't click on the gun. Alright. Well, I think that is my turn. So we go back to Cassia. I want to get our momentum up. but I can do that with the Inquisitor's Tenant if I need to. You need to attack this guy, although it's not showing the line. But Gamma is the one challenging you. Emulate the soul, 27 to 58, 25 to 54. Yeah, let's make him burn. 8 to 17 is terrible. 8 to 16. Yeah, might as well make him burn. This doesn't hit allies, right? Good. Just have to make sure.
If I may.
Threat identified. Yeah. Ooh, much better. 55 to 101. I don't know why that's gone up by so much, but I will take it.
You don't frighten me! Isn't this a job for the serfs?
And we'll use that. That's high momentum to give Ignatius his next turn.
I'll paint your death in colors.
So now, can I melt a multiple of them? I mean, probably, depending on where I stood. Nope, don't back out there. If I put you here, and I can get the two of you. Wow, you... Why are you taking so much more damage than you? Are you somehow different? You don't look like it. 355. Oh, it's because you're already on fire, which burned away your armor. That's why you're taking so much more damage. So probably the smart thing would be to light all of them on fire once. There you go.
Already done. I don't have time for this.
Yeah. Let's just move forward a little bit. And I can light you on fire. And you. Okay, we've got all of them. I can light the glasscrete barrier now. What can you tell me about the barrier? Nothing. Right-clicking doesn't do anything. And can I click on her yet? No. I can technically light you on fire, but it's not showing that I would actually do damage. My guess is it's only going to take damage from the gun. Do I just kill the accusers now? Because I could.
Nothing I can't do.
I think I will. I think that's everyone on fire now. Just making sure there's no one else hiding around the edges, and there's not. So let's go with Inflame because it's free.
Suits my purposes. Nothing of value has been lost.
Okay, you only took one shot even though both of them died. That's a bit disappointing. Hopefully that won't come back to be a problem later. So now I can kill some of them. Still, some of you guys, even after being lit on fire, are taking a lot more damage than others. Not sure what the deal there is. If I moved, is there any way I can hit both of you? And the answer seems to be no. Stairs are going to get in the way. Alright. If I went here, could I melt the two of you? Yes. Without hitting my allies, which is the important part.
too easy.
You didn't die. I was sure that showed you guys dying. Unless you somehow have to be killed by the person in question. Is there some nonsense I missed? Until they suffer damage from the designated target, the mercenary suffers 80% less damage from other sources. Ah. Unfinished business. Now those are the effects we've placed on them. No, I'm not saying anything that says I can't kill them. Just they're taking reduced damage. I can do more damage to this one because he was my target. So perhaps I should finish you off.
Not a problem for me. You didn't stand a chance.
And I can go Wildfire to get another free attack. Or Revel and Slaughter Run and Gun to get another free attack.
Suits my purposes.
Oh, I didn't realize I killed that one already. Alright, well if I move to say here, I could get the two of you.
Let's see how they respond to this. Nothing of value has been lost.
I don't have access to my abilities. I just noticed. I go into, say, inventory and then move back. There we go. Steady superiority will give me yet another attack.
I'll bring glory to my bloodline.
Not in a position where I can hit multiple of them, sadly. Though I could take out Cassia's, because she has targeted that individual. I guess it's a free attack regardless of whether I use Ignite or Melta. I might as well Melta.
Nothing I can't. You didn't stand a chance.
That got us back to high momentum. Perfect. Actually, with the dash, I might have been able to get to a position where I could have hit. No, up the stairs doesn't work. We've seen that. I think that's about as far as I can take this, unfortunately. Back to Cassia's turn. What are you gonna do? Nothing.
Strengthens me.
Alright, Alpha. You have challenged Pascal, but you shot at Earliet? Strikes me as an odd choice. So you can easily hit this guy, right? Yeah, no problem. Let's just go perfect spot.
Beneath me.
Mark him as prey.
If I must. If it
Use a
serves
couple of your
cause.
abilities. And then go for the kill. Or
I
not.
understand your
Threat identified. Yeah. Am I maxed out on the fire psyker abilities? Yes, I am.
Another soul slips beyond the veil.
Did you just shoot an ally? Can you not shoot allies? I mean, I get that he's yellow rather than green, so he's not necessarily on our team, but he certainly wasn't an enemy, and you could have shot at this guy instead. guess
This tedium is beneath me.
let's work on some of these other things.
I am not your xenos pet, monkey.
We'll call that good enough.
Following procedure.
Wow, that's all you did. You took a couple steps forward and ended your turn. So enemy-wise, we've got Weapon of Justice that I can't attack. We have her, who's also currently blocked off, and then Alpha. Never trust an Eldari. I always trust my Eldari. Why we're such good friends.
All too easy.
I'm not in your way, you're in my way.
Suits my purpose of opposing
And now you're not.
was your biggest mistake.
There, we took out your entire mercenary squad. What next? Just like, get out of my chair. You know that's where I sit. It'd be good if they updated what they say in battle among you to get to a certain yeah. Like, if our reputation with our allies changed what they said. That would be good, yeah. Prefect Volturd kneels before you, scores of fragile implants all over her body are twitching convulsively, giving her the appearance of a crushed insect. The Prefect lets out a cough, then an unnerving smile appears on her lips. I at least had to try. I served the Von Valencia's protectorate faithfully for over 100 years, painstakingly cultivating order where others had failed to do so. While you and your ancestors sowed anarchy and havoc with your ever-changing whims, I stood on as a linchpin that kept this domain from sinking into criminal disarray. It was because of me that this gargantuan system continued to function with barely a flaw. The only source of disruption was you, the rogue traders. Yes, I at least had to try. Yeah. Change what they say after you get to a certain reputation, yeah. Try what? To take my protectorate for yourself? You've forgotten your place in Scrabia. You must be stopped, and that duty falls to me. Do you have anything to say in your defense? For attempting to slander and kill one of the Emperor's anointed, and for encroaching upon the Imperial tithe, I hereby sentence you to death. You could have negotiated with me, voiced your dissatisfaction, and we would have found a way. Instead, you chose to plot behind my back. It would be a pity to lose such a valuable professional. I sentence you to work in tithe storages, where you will catalog their contents in solitude until the day you die. Interesting choice. Try what? To take my protectorate for yourself? The protectorate isn't yours, and it never was. Have you not read your own warrant even once? Every conquest, every planet claimed by a rogue trader belongs to the Imperium. You are supposed to act as its vassal, nothing more. But rogue traders are incapable of efficient rule. All that drives you is your craving for profit and reckless exploits. The limitless potential of the protectorate is wasted in the hands of spoilt fools, and I am tired of watching you desecrate the very foundations of the Imperium. If it weren't for you, the protectorate would be operating for the good of the throne as impeccably as a sacred machine of the Omnissiah. You've forgotten your place in Scrabia. You must be stopped, and that duty falls to me. Do you have anything to say in your defense? Only the guilty try to defend themselves, whereas I acted in the interest of the Imperium. Such a shame that some things cannot be set right by bureaucratic means, and that the short-sightedness of certain people serving in adjacent divisions. She pauses meaningfully, watching the marshal knit his brows, so often becomes an insurmountable obstacle. She should be put to death, but part of me thinks that leaving her cataloging the tithe forever also is fitting. But no, she is too good at twisting people to the point of even getting the marshal to change his side, that leaving her alive somewhere would potentially come back to haunt me. Perfect Vulture, for attempting to slander and kill one of the Emperor's anointed, and for encroaching upon the Imperial tribe, I hereby sentence you to death. Scorpion Vulture gives no reply. She meets her death with her head proudly raised and her lips pursed in contempt. I sentence you to count the monies. Please don't steal. Yeah. Couldn't bring myself to do it. As the weapon roars, Inscribia's Vulture's body is reduced to dust. Marshal Gregorus Strox takes a measured step forward, his armor clanging. You must judge me also, rogue traitor. I have shamed the Adeptus Arbites by succumbing to Prefect Vulture's manipulations and betrayed the Lex Imperialis, the very law I was meant to uphold. I'm guilty. I insist that you pass the sentence and carry it out immediately. You helped me defeat the Prefect. Why would I sentence you? Marshal Strox, by enabling Inscribia Vulture's machinations on your watch, you have demonstrated criminal ignorance and laxity. I hereby find you deserving of death. Or Marshal Gregor Strox, taking into account your record of past achievements, I hereby deny you your execution, instead sentence you to punishment by toil. I appoint you to High Overseer of the world Bebo 6. That is where you will remain for the rest of your life. I don't mind that one. Letting him off when he was criminally negligent is foolish. Particularly in 40K's viewpoint. But putting him on a awful world no one wants to be in to be their new overseer, I think that's not a bad call. We can at least ask this though. You helped me defeat the Prefect. Why would I sentence you? Remorse does not absolve me from being culpable for what has transpired. I have betrayed the Lex. There's no going back for traitors. Alright, then I appoint you to High Overseer of the world Bebo 6. That is where you will remain for the rest of your life. I consider this measure unduly lenient, but I have no right to protest your decision. The Marshal brings a closed fist to his chest and adds solemnly, for your judgment is final. Yes, it is. Suffering for penance is a common theme. Yeah. Also, losing a capable individual isn't something I readily want to do if I can put him to better use elsewhere. And I do think he's generally trustworthy. Strox sets his shield down, detaches his carapace, and places it over the shield. Now clad only in his undersuit uniform, he looks smaller without his armor and very tired. I, Marshal Gregor Strox, am stepping down from my post. I am no longer fit to wear this armor. May its new wearer bring honor to the Lex. The rest of the room stands still. All eyes turn to you. The final verdict, what you say next, will decide the fate of not just the Adeptus Arbites, but of justice in the Koronus Expanse as a whole. So we gained his shield, armor, helmet. Yeah. Which I'm probably going to give to Solomon, of course. The Koronus Expanse cannot be left without the Lex Imperialis and its keepers. The Adeptus Arbites will choose a new marshal, one who is more worthy of their station, and continue to guard the Imperium against lawlessness. Sounds reasonable. The Arbites is in need of a more capable leader. I command you to choose a new marshal, and let them take heed that the Von Valancius dynasty will never again accept interference in matters of the Protectorate from the Arbites. I don't know if I would say that we are above the law. I think they need to be more clear before they bring us to be charged and executed. But there are going to be rogue traders who probably should have some oversight. But also they're rogue traders, so they don't have oversight. So I'm of a mixed mind. Proctor Solomon Anthars, ruler of Dargonus and head of the Von Valancius dynasty, I name you the new marshal of the Adeptus Arbites in the Koronus Expanse. See to it that the Arbites once more become faithful servants of Lex Imperialis under your leadership. You're banished. Please remove your stuff on the floor in front of me and be off. Yeah. I mean, it's correct that he shouldn't have the marshal's gear if he's just going to be overseeing a colony world or criminal world. Prison world, that's the term. Like, it does belong to the Arbites, and he's not an Arbites anymore. So we can have Solomon be the new marshal, which is fine, but also I think I want to keep him in my retinue, and in my retinue, he's going to be too busy to be running the Arbites. The Adeptus Arbites is rotten, corrupt canker on the face of the Koronus Expanse. I declare the beginning of a purge in their ranks. All whom I deem unworthy will be exterminated. Those who remain the best of the best will carry on protecting the law. No, no, no. Yeah, penal colony. Yep. By my right as bearer of the warrant of trade, I hereby disband the Adeptus Arbites. All members of this organization are henceforth outlawed and stripped of the right to judge my subjects. From this day forward, the Koronus Expanse has but one executor of judgment and law, me, Ignatius von Valentius. Definitely not. I'm gonna go with the top one. 1 and 2 are both pretty equal. Just 2 adds on the statement of never mess with the von Valentius dynasty. And I don't think that needs to be stated. The Koronus Expanse cannot be left without the Lex Imperialis and its keepers. The Adeptus Arbites will choose a new marshal, one who is more worthy of their station, and continue to guard the Imperium against lawlessness. Solomon salutes and gives a grim nod. I will see you done, rogue trader. Justice is done, my judgment is made. Among the broken fragments of the great scales and the burning Arbites banners, the people kneel as one. The verdict has been announced. Whatever the future may hold, one thing is certain. The Koronus Expanse will not be the same. I mean, I didn't change much. Essentially, I just said, Arbites, your leader was not taking his job as seriously as he should. Get a better leader. Everything else stays the same. Okay, that's another level up for us. Death and tithes. I'm assuming the tithes are going to make it correctly to where they need to go, and I don't need to chase them down. It's a stretch they would have even been in a position to challenge a rogue trader. Yeah. Like, they could in the future try and challenge a rogue trader in the same way, but really there's nothing they can do to stop me with all the power and money I have. In the same way that they challenged me this time, and we just mopped the floor with their expensive mercenaries. Like, we're not in a position that they can actually take us out. The only reason we went through that whole court case farce that it was is because it felt like it was the right thing to do to go through the court case. But it's not like if they had pushed through and said we were guilty that I would have actually been willing to stand there and get killed, and they couldn't have forced me. Ranged area attack. No, no. Trench isn't terrible. It expands the story. That's true. We'll go with Reckless Rush. Plus 10 movement points could potentially be very useful. Can't boost our willpower, which would have been the thing to boost up. Don't really care about ballistic skill, even though I am a soldier. I never fire my gun. Perception's not terrible. Could go with something like toughness just to keep us more alive, have more health, but I think we're doing fine. I have a psi rating of 9? Wow. That's crazy. Intelligence for your lore checks. That's not a bad call either. Because that is... Lore warp keeps screwing us over because I'm the best person in the party at it, but I'm not good at it. Boosting my intelligence would help with that. You were not wrong. I mean, willpower is always going to be my first choice if it's available, but boosting intelligence does make sense. Alright, Abelard. Let's see. Follow my lead. Until the start of the next turn, the Vanguard and all allies gain 18% damage and 18% armor penetration against enemies in a 2-cell radius around the Vanguard. Interesting. We'll follow my lead. Then for you, can't boost your weapon skill or strength, which would have been the ideal choices. I think toughness is usually what I go for next. Yeah, nothing else seems to matter as much. Cassia, what are we doing with you? Mend reality. Sure. Being able to reduce veil degradation is nice, I suppose. More than the stratagems that I'm basically never going to use. Willpower, fellowship, probably perception is next. Yeah. Pascal. Terrifying strike. Sure. Could go strength. Just to keep increasing his attacks. Fine. Ballistics perception, probably agility is next on your list. Yeah, I think so. And lastly, Solomon. You have already gotten the ones I've marked as interesting. I could do rapid fire for his shotgun. Because his shotgun does 2 shots in rapid fire. So this would allow him to do 4 shotgun blasts. That's definitely tempting. Interesting option. Yeah, we'll go with rapid fire. Ballistics fellowship. Then what? Possibly toughness, because I think that boosts his shield stuff. There we go. Being a bit quick about it, but I don't want to spend forever on level ups. Is there any more loot in this area? Probably not. Actually, there probably is down here where we killed all the people. Nope.
None are better
Apparently
at
their
searching.
bodies got dragged away. Oh, there was a chest tucked in here. In the broken base of the scales is a chest adorned with the patina-covered emblem of the Adeptus Arbites. The purity seals suggest it was consecrated before being immured. And we're just going to open it up and take everything out. Another shield. Maragon shield, Maragon ring, Maragon boots, and a Maragon helmet. Alright. Let's go to inventory because I forgot to compare what we found. You can't wear the armor's gear or the marshal's gear because you don't have heavy armor proficiency. Well, that's awkward. So we could potentially give it to Abelard. It's more armor, less deflection, same dodge penalty. Wonder if Cassie needs to be rebalanced a bit with her skills in a future update? Possibly. Maragon comes to work in the morning. Who stole my helmet and ring? Yeah. I think deflection is probably better, and the reduction to critical hit chance. So I think I'm going to keep him in what he already has on. Now we've got 2 shields to look through. Wielder gains +1 deflection and parry. I need to open this up because it's longer than I could read. Okay, so every time he blocks, it gives him these charges, and then he can unleash the charges when he attacks with the shield. Makes sense. Versus this one. Oh, I wasn't even looking at the shield block chance. 35 versus 25. This brings it up to 40. Take less damage, do more damage to xenos and demons. That sounds great. Description on the inner side reads, many an enemy of humankind took aim at Maragon's heart, yet this shield stopped each foe's deadly sting, for the God Emperor protects his faithful servants from death's rapacity. Cool. That's a solid upgrade. Next time I'm trying to figure out what to do with points, it might be a good idea to give Pascal heavy armor. There's a thought. I'll think about it. More armor penetration. Oh, this doesn't have the rapid shot. I thought these shotguns had 2 shots. Maybe that was a specific shotgun he had wielded at the time. So rapid fire is not going to help him. That's a shame. So this one's slightly better armor penetration, but it has less dodge reduction and additional hit chance. I'll keep him with the scoped. I think knocking prone is probably cooler than bonus resolve. Are you a castigator? That's what I don't remember. I mean, you're obviously an Arbites. Where would I even see that? My guess is it's here and he's an overseer rather than a castigator, but I can't see for sure. No. You're an arbitrator. Where can I see if you're a castigator? Because I don't want to put it on... Yeah, that's just saying that he took Exemplar and then Overseer. Well, Soldier, then Exemplar, then Overseer, then Exemplar. Would be part of his origin, I would think. That he's an arbitrator. I don't know. I see nothing that says castigator, so I'm going to assume he's not. So, probably not that. As for the boots, one of the effects of ruthless suppression, where is immune to immobilized, prone, and slowed. Don't know what that is. Then the Maragon Ring. When the wearer kills the target for the first time in a round, their next attack automatically hits. And allows reusing arbitrator abilities in a round. Sure. I don't really care for the metronome. Alright, that's probably good enough for re-equipping. Oh, there are more goods around. Including an upgrade for our Cyber Mastiff. Alright, let's collect all that. And then once again go into our inventory. 300% damage. Gains 25% critical hit chance. More critical hit chance and critical hits knock enemies prone. Alright. Yeah. So we got a bunch of weapons. Hotshot las gun, I don't think anyone's gonna care. Power maul, how does that compare to what you've got? It's better than the power pick, damage-wise. Shotgun, that'll be good for you. Not good enough. Not even close. That's a terrible shotgun. What about you, Pascal? You're still using your starting weapon. Yeah. I should definitely give you a major upgrade. I mean, plus 15 to your weapon skill is nice, and bleeding is nice. But the minimum of this power maul is slightly less than the maximum of your axe. So, yeah. Okay. Suppose I should have done a bigger loop around, because we did find a couple of items. There might have been more. The drudgery of inventory management in late game RPGs. It's true. So we're done with Dargonus. I don't know if we actually need to go chase down the Tithe. I'm suspecting not. We need to get up to Kiava Gamma. Or to Vivo 6, rather. Because we've got a thing to deal with. Did you get a new auger scanner? I did not. Slander requires the Lord Captain's decision. There are rumors in the colony that the rogue trader... I mean, maybe I did. I'd have to go check. There are rumors in the colony the rogue trader has given in to the archenemy's corruption, personally killed Lady Theodora, and usurped the throne by force. Start a punitive raid, lowers complacency by 2. We can gain complacency by proving your piety by donating substantial resources to the ecclesiarchy, or request help from followers of St. Drusus because we have enough reputation. We'll just request help from the followers of St. Drusus. The Drusian services and sermons have dispelled the veil of idle heresy and slander. Well, that was nice and simple. So why can we not do any of these? Reputation with the Void we don't have. We need Xenos Intoxicant somewhere. And reputation with the Drusians is still not enough for that one. I should probably figure out where the Drusians are and get their reputation up higher. But that's fine. So if we go to our quest log at this point, still don't know what to do with that. But right, we're supposed to go meet the Inquisitor finally on Footfall. And yes, I have a crazy amount of contracts and rumors. I guess I don't have that many contracts, actually. There were a bunch that I was choosing not to do because they feel bad. And I'm assuming most of these probably fit that. Yeah, let's go to Footfall. Check our contracts. So, Unquenchable Greed. The rogue trader has been contacted by a high-ranking administrative official who previously helped with reclaiming the relics of St. Cognatius from House Corda. He enjoyed the generous bribes and would like some more. In exchange for the riches requested, he promises that an error will creep into the administratum's calculations so that all provisions from the agri-world of Mercus Alpha will be shipped to Dragonus instead of the Navy's orbital fortress of Dragonus II. Yeah. Intentionally taking resources from the Navy just to boost the greed of some random high-ranking administratum? No. Captain, who calls himself the Master Inspector, is in the market for human merchandise. This peculiar character has repeatedly shown up on Footfall to buy serfs, criminals, and unfortunates detained for vagrancy. Where he takes them is unknown, but his coffers seem bottomless. So give up people just for some money. I mean, if it's various criminals and unfortunates, maybe. Oh, quick check to see if any of them boost Drusians. That's fair. Adamantine, Xenotech, Plasteel, Provisions. This one doesn't give me anything. The Rogue Trader has turned the sublime minds of the Magi Explorators. May they employ the blessed machines of the Adeptus Mechanicus to melt the centuries-old layer of ice encasing lost and forgotten Imperial world. What would be an unbearable burden for a commoner is just another task for a servant of the Omnissiah. The Explorators offer prayers to the machine spirits as they prepare for the unorthodox planetary scale mission. We take phlogiston, which we don't have a ton of, promethium, which we have plenty, and chemicals, which we have plenty. Some. No obvious profit. Seems like a multi-part. That's what I'm thinking. Let's start it. Let's see where that ends up going. But no, there was nothing there directly to raise our Drusian reputation. I think if we go to Footfall, we can find Hieronymus. And colony at Dargonus has begun a new stage of development. Well, we are at Dargonus. Is that something I'm supposed to interact with? Not my ship. Speaking of ships, did I get a new Auspex? No. So there's no new parts here. That was what I was checking. So if we go to Colony, did Dargonus... Yes, Dargonus has reached a new thing. Terrible news from Dargonus, your lordship. Your vigilant servants have discovered an absence of treachery on an abscess of treachery on our capital world. One that has grown far too large and could rupture at any moment. The informants report that the group known as the Foreman Clan is actually a cover for a horrendous cult of genetic aberrations, who currently have their people in every echelon of the hive. They are traitors to the purity of humanity, traitors to the creed, rebels and heretics. Apparently, their unholy sermons speak of the three sorrowful phalanges of a finger pointing the way to retribution and unity. What exactly did my people find out? One tenacious clerk from the Administratum questioned the authenticity of the reports coming from the ruins of Scipion 84-249. He personally observed the debris removal and entered the lower levels of the fallen hive. There, he discovered signs that prove Scipion had been infected by the gene plague. Thousands of corpses and the extra-armed abominations have been buried in a mass grave. He also found the remains of Achilles Scalander's people. It seems that they had noticed signs of corruption, and the traitors, aiming to cover up their crimes, buried their misdeeds under the ruins of the hive. On their way back, the clerk transport was destroyed, but he miraculously managed to survive. Now the heretics think that they have covered their tracks once more, and so they continue their plots, oblivious and unprepared for our attack. So he said they have the gene plague, whatever he called it. Yeah, the gene plague. So are these gene stealers Tyranids? Because we've been wondering where the final remnants of the gene stealers are. And if it's this, then great. What is this mutant plague that has affected our capital? A horrendous distortion of the human form. It seems that they spread their poison by biting and enslaving their victims. Some of them are indistinguishable from normal humans, while others are disgustingly ugly. The heretics hide them away from prying eyes. They seem to be connected by a common consciousness, and are absolutely loyal to the despicable cult. The astropathic choirmaster of Dargonus has suggested that the cult may be behind the extermination of the psykers on the planet. He can sense the ghost of a powerful consciousness of some sort. Yeah, they're gene stealers. The astropaths who we have forced to serve on Dargonus are afraid. They do not wish to become a living shield if their enemy launches another psychic assault at us. I fear that this line in our defense is quite fragile. Do those abominations look like the ones on my ship, the same cursed brood? I'm afraid so, your lordship. The descriptions from Dargonus are quite similar to what we have witnessed ourselves. The same deformities, the same underhanded tactics. Either they are kin to our aberrations, or they are another branch stemming from the same foul root. The Foreman clan is the cover for this disgusting cult? Indeed. They probably began by recruiting workers. It is easy to blend in with the laboring riffraff. Posing as a union of technomats, they were able to conceal their secret operations and infiltration into the upper echelons of power. Each new crisis allowed them to gain more of our trust and resources. And most despicable of all is that they have perverted our faith. They revere the God Emperor in the form of a four-armed monstrosity. Their prayers are full of hatred towards those in power, and promises of a reckoning when their dreadful deity will come and equate them with their oppressors, with us, that is. Many fools and troublemakers have fallen for their lies. Living in the secluded labor settlements of the ruined Scipion, they could act with impunity, but at least it prevented them from infecting the hives as severely as they could have done. The suppression of the minor cults dealt them a harsh blow by bringing the flock back into the fold of obedience. We have reduced their number of potential new recruits. We're going to ask Heinrichs, even though we know. Heinrichs, what are these mutants? They're called gene stealers, and they are not simple mutants. They are xenos plague that breeds inside the human brain, forever distorting their genetic makeup and enslaving them to the brood. This is much more threatening than the Drukhari fleet that ravaged the capital earlier. If they are on Dargonus, then they will try to overtake the entire planet sooner or later. The messengers of the Great Devourer. My kin can sense the shapeshifters, but you should stay vigilant, Elentok. For species as psychically weak as the Monkey, their arrival may spell death. What forces do they have at their disposal? The heretics mostly consist of workers, but some have infiltrated the guard as well. Their weapons are primarily made from repurposed industrial machinery. The cultists are fearless and will readily sacrifice themselves for the sake of their common goal. But the worst part is their psychic threat. We cannot even begin to gauge it. We fear that the tribes of the Engine Vandals will support them as well, partially influenced by the plague and partially lured by the promise of a good raid. We have to act. Absolutely right. It is impossible to negotiate with the degenerates. Our only option is to completely annihilate them. We should start from the top. Should we attack decisively and quickly, or should we show our hand by bringing assault vehicles into the capital and gain an advantage in firepower? Do we quietly eliminate their leaders, or do we rain destruction upon the infected territories and cleanse them of traitors? Ignatius, raise the people to battle and publicly proclaim war. Tell the people that the heretics are hiding among them, and the millions of loyal subjects will grind the thousands of traitors to dust. May Dargonus cleanse itself of this filth. Yeah, but how do you tell, when they look just like us, how do you tell who is a heretic and who is not? Because just telling everyone to kill their neighbors is probably not a wise call. The cleansing should be thorough. A few wrecks of dead ships still linger in orbit after the day the Xenos scum attacked your world. Command your fleet to pick them up and send them plummeting toward the nests of this spawn, trying to encroach on your domain. Just launch derelict ships at that hive. I kind of like that idea. It's terrible. Like, at least Argenta isn't dooming the entire hive, which originally Scipion, from what I recall, this whole chain of quests, Scipion burned down or was destroyed in some manner, and so we were slowly rebuilding it back up to be a profitable hive again. And here it's just like, nope, it's being rebuilt, but with Tyranids inside it, just burn it to the ground again. Crash ships into it, destroy it from orbit. Since all of them are linked by a common will, we could start by launching our attacks there. If the astropathic choir could drown out the voice of the brood, we would be able to launch a sudden strike and act quickly enough before the enemy could restore cohesion and alert their forces to the assault. That doesn't seem bad either. Argenta's right. We will announce to the people that we have an enemy in our midst. They should come to the aid of the enforcers, who will be attacking in full force. Heinrichs, prepare a plan for a psychic attack. After that, we shall launch a surprise attack on the cult's headquarters. We'll make this quick and quiet. You should get rid of the leaders first, or I like Ulfar's plan. We shall do as the Emperor's angel said. Let us crush the infected sectors from orbit. We'll let Heinrichs do his thing. I think it's a sensible choice. Also, being part of the Inquisition Ordo Xenos, he probably has the best idea of how to take out a gene stealer nest that's starting to build up. Granted, a space marine would also know how to deal with gene stealers, but I think his is a bit more destructive than necessary, as fun as it would be. So Heinrichs, do your thing. I will send the Inquisition's directives developed specifically for this scenario to Dargonus. At the appointed time, the enforcers started their simultaneous raids in all the hives of the capital, relying on stealth and surprise. They did not use heavy weapons of war. At the same time, the astropathic choir launched a truly devastating attack on the grim psychic shadow hanging above the hives of Dargonus. This attack stunned the brood of heretics and temporarily cut off their psychic communication. But the heretics did not go down without a fight. Soon, an enraged outcry of psychic energy from the brood swept through the hives, plunging the dynasty's brave warriors into horror and bloody insanity. The astropathic choir managed to drown it out with their menacing chants, but this was a test of will, and only the most disciplined and steadfast psykers withstood its sheer force. The element of surprise facilitated the swift extermination of the cult's leaders, leading the rest of the heretics to lose heart. The filthy shrines of the heretics were set ablaze. Only one thing filled the rogue trader's servants with unease. Inside the cult's main temple, they found a den of some grotesque, enormous monster. It was empty. They did not find the beast. If the Emperor had been merciful to Dargonus, the monster would surely have perished in the fires that had engulfed the hives during that cycle. We found a tainted phylactery. The wielder gains 21% critical hit chance against xenos. Okay. And we finally finished the quest for finding the Gene Stealers, which was started as a Chapter 2 quest. And that's the finishing of the Scholar Progenium. So I think we're basically done with improvements to Dargonus. Alright, onward to Footfall. Lord Captain, I've made an important discovery. When you destroyed the creature the mutants called the Sire, I felt it was my duty to investigate how the abomination had found its way onto our ship. Digging through old inventories and archives of trade transactions, I latched onto a single name, Finger of Sorrow. More than 2 centuries ago, the drifting hulk of this vessel was discovered by Lady Theodora's predecessor. It was a lost merchant ship with a hold full of cargo. I was reminded of the 3 sorrowful phalanges mentioned by the twisted creatures. I dare theorize that this image harkens back to the name of the ship woven into the heretics' beliefs. A third of the goods taken from the Finger of Sorrow were sold to the Drusian mission on Footfall for the needs of a colonization arc, the Wasteland Wayfarer, bound for the world of Jesevon. A third was taken to Hive Scipion 84-249 on Dargonus, where a mutiny broke out later, and the final third was left on the flagship. Surely you can see where I'm going with this. Centuries later, a cult of mutants emerged in every single location the shipments were delivered to. Where did this Finger of Sorrow come from? It arrived in the Expanse, from somewhere in the Calixtus sector. More precise information may be contained in the dead vessel's log, but I do not have it in my possession. What do you think these 3 sorrowful phalanges represent? I assume they symbolize the 3 branches of the cult, the Nourishers, the Ravenous Star, and the unnamed cult from Scipion. At least I pray to the Emperor that there are only 3. Are you telling me that the Von Valancius dynasty has been transporting genetic aberrations across the Expanse? Purely out of ignorance. The creatures probably lurked in the cargo, and no one discovered them. Or perhaps, we know those things can take over our minds. They could have dominated anyone who stumbled upon their nest. I wish to locate the wreck and investigate it. The coordinates have already been entered into the logbook, your lordship. Okay, so we aren't actually done with that quest. It's Chapter 2 quest. If the theory is correct, the rogue trader will find evidence inside the drifting remains of the merchant ship Finger of Sorrow in Omicron. Wherever Omicron is. Usually there's a quest marker you can see at the edge of the screen that's telling you where quests are. I don't see anything, but I could be just missing it. I'm not seeing anything called Omicron. So possibly it's something we find later? There's Omicron. Which is where the Eye of the Magnetic Storm is. Well, let's head that way before we head down to Furibundus. The Inquisitor kept me waiting for a while. I can keep him waiting a bit longer. Okay, Vat turned to blood, that's fine. Mysterious sickness struck the clan living in the macro cannon chambers. Disease quickly spread. Flooded the chamber with carbon monoxide. Brilliant. It was an interesting quest chain. They did a really good job with the writing. Yeah. I've been pretty happy with the writing in general for the whole game. There's very little that I think feels, you know, poorly done in some way. So yeah, Finger of Sorrow is there. While we're here, let's check out Savannah World, see if we can finally do that magnetic scan. The chances are the answer is no. And we can't. Whatever we're needing to be able to see through the eye of the magnetic storm, still can't. The hulk of a merchant ship drifts through the void like a gutted corpse. The hull is riddled with gouges from macro cannon fire. The soot-covered letters on the side spell out a somber name, Finger of Sorrow. Let's use our augers to examine the ship. The ship is devoid of vital signs. Life support systems have long since failed. Cold darkness and silence fill the wreck of the Finger of Sorrow. Some scripting, unfortunate interpretations, etc., but good writing. Yeah, there's been a few oddities. Yeah. Definitely been a fun game. Owlcat always knocks it out of the park. I've been super impressed, particularly for how new of a company they are, and I think they're relatively small, all things considered. Let's dispatch an expedition. A squad of enforcers and tech priests put on their void suits and dock with the ship. The vessel is empty except for the frozen and desiccated corpses of the crew. Some retain human features, but others are easily recognizable as genetic aberrations. They've been dead for centuries. Let's examine the logbook on the bridge. The Finger of Sorrow was a common merchant vessel. The log records its travels along many of the trade routes from the Calixtus sector. The last entry states that the ship departed from Port Wander on the border between the Koronus Expanse and the Calixtus sector. Tech Priest notes that the protocols for undocking from the station were not followed, indicating either a hasty escape or blatant disregards for the covenant of the Omnissiah. Let's search the hold. The hold is empty, apart from a few open containers. However, careful examination points to 3 opened service hatches that bear claw marks. Venturing deeper into the service tunnels, the enforcers find 3 empty nests with chunks of purple chitin and dried traces of dark slime that is eaten through the metal panels. There can be no doubt the gene steals once lurked here. Inspect the cabins. Many of the cabins have become tombs for the bodies of the crew. They asphyxiated when the ship's life support systems failed. One of the enforcers notices a cache marked with the symbols of a fanged serpent with a sharp tail and 3 clawed limbs. The cache contains an amulet and a miraculously preserved diary. There are a few planets with adamantine and phlogiston that you left because they were 2. It might be good to grab them if you notice, because you have extra diggers. They seem to be the rares. Yeah, if I reach a point where I'm desperately in need of phlogiston, maybe I will. But I don't think there's any missions I'm unable to handle. Yeah, 2016, the first project was Kingmaker. Yep. They started out, I don't even know how, they started out as a Kickstarter project on Kingmaker, and I don't know how they got into that point. Like, did they contact Paizo and say, hey, we're a team that's never made a game before, but we really want to try? Do we have your blessing to give it a shot and make a Kickstarter? I don't know. But they got the go-ahead, made the game, and yeah, it was buggy at the start, but eventually became a pretty solid game. And then they've just continued on with Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous and now Rogue Trader, and are now working on Dark Heresy. They're just doing a great job on all of them. So Amulet of the Ravenous Star requires Dogmatic. No, must not have Dogmatic, I see. If the first round of combat, the wearer's MP is doubled. Meh. Relay the contents of the diary to the flagship. The diary was kept by one of the missionaries of the Gene Stealer cult. According to the entries, this cult secretly spread throughout much of the Calixtus sector, although the author does not mention any specific infected worlds. He recalls with reverence the promised land, the cradle of faith, salty as the tears of righteous martyrs. The author's branch of the cult had settled on Port Wander Station, the last threshold between the Calixtus sector and the Koronus Expanse. You think Total War has really helped with interest in Warhammer in general? Yeah, but the Total War games are based on Warhammer Fantasy, which is related but different. I would love to see a Warhammer 40k Total War and see what they can make of that, because I'm far more interested in the 40k universe than Warhammer Fantasy. The cult grew and gained followers among the workers and the poor, and even managed to infiltrate powerful trade guilds. However, their plans fell apart when the Gene Stealer's kiss was granted to an unworthy candidate. This oversight led to the discovery of the cult and a bloody purge. The author of the diary recalls with horror and sorrow how many of the pureblood children of the Star Savior perished in the massacre. The story ends by chronicling the escape of a small group of heretics who managed to save 3 purebreds and steal a merchant ship under heavy fire from the station. They narrowly navigated the Maw, but the ship's damage was too severe. 3 phalanges of the Finger of Sorrow, the pureblood star children, fell into a long sleep and became dormant. Meanwhile, the cultists humbly watched the ship's life support systems fade away one after another. In the last lines, the author welcomes death in the name of the many-armed emperor with solemnity and elation. So this is talking about something that happened in the Calixtus sector where the Gene Stealers were noticed and had to escape quickly. And I'm guessing that's relating to some sort of canonical lore of some novel that I haven't read. But there's people who probably know exactly what event this is referring to, but I don't think it's something defined in the game at all. I think that's something defined elsewhere. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's destroy the ship. We've gotten the information. The Enforcers plant melta charges at key points on the vessel, and the explosion rips the Finger of Sorrow into pieces that are obliterated by strikes from the macro cannons. Okay. Now let's head to Footfall. Unless something else shows up to interrupt us. Although I was talking about making a shortcut from here with xenos down to Footfall so that it's also part of our safe network. Only good at early and heresy lore? Okay. I wouldn't call myself any way of an expert on any sort of lore, but I know a little bit about a little bit, and that works well enough for me. I get enough out of the game with what lore I know that I'm happy. But it would be nice to know more, and so I'm always on the lookout for people who do know more lore where they can point out cool things that I might have missed. During the period designated as the night shift, the air in the ship suddenly turned stale. Yeah, we've read this a bunch of times. Abelard is now the one who's having an incident. So let's go down here to Furibundus. We will make a new route and then make it safe. And that means we can now get from Footfall all the way through our network up here to Dargonus, which connects to Vibos, or to Kieva, which is great. Druse's Blessing. Have we been there? I'm sure we have, but I don't remember. Familiar voice cuts through the hissing Vox channel. Greetings, what can I do for you? Oh, right. This is the Navy trade group. I would like to look at a catalog of components available for purchase. Yeah, this is the Imperial Navy. if I wanted a better Auspex? I mean, let's look at some of this stuff. Adamantine plating protects the vessel from harm, negating 9 points of damage on each side. That is worse than what I have right now. No. Currently I have 9 from the 4 and 5 on other sides. Got it. That's 9 everywhere. 15 speed along with low acceleration and braking. That doesn't feel as good. 190 points of protection for each sector. That's good. That's a new improved Auspex. 98% hit chance is amazing. And just giving us 400 scrap. Oh, this one I already have available. 12 points of damage to the port and starboard, 5 on the fore and aft. That is just an improvement. $91 to 105. That's also just an improvement. Okay. I should really look at some of this, but also I should look at trading with you, because if I can get up another level, I get the Auspex. If I can get up 2 levels, up to 12, I get an improved mortar and shields. I don't think I care about either of these. Yeah, so let's try and get up to 12, if possible. You want... Eldari trophies. And Drukhari trophies. I don't think anyone else is wanting these. So I can definitely give you all of them. Wow, I have a ton of Drukhari trophies. Oh, now we're on Void Heretic trophies. I think Void Heretic trophies are wanted by other groups. So let's give those and see where that puts us. That puts us at 12. Perfect. Who is the Mechanicus trader? I forget his name, but he's on Footfall, I think. So let's grab the scrap container. Might as well. That'll immediately give us 400 scrap. Get the better Auspex. Grab you. And you. $13 speed. No. We'll see how these fighters compare to the fighters we have. Wow, I'm getting a tutorial? That's been a while. You fill your flagship's arsenals with various ammunition that enhances the capabilities of your flagship's weapons. If your arsenal have fighters or bomber decks, your torpedo tubes can launch Fury interceptors or Starhawk bombers instead of regular torpedoes. For several rounds, you'll be able to directly control these special units. Attack craft have limited amount of fuel. When empty, they no longer can be controlled directly and return to your flagship automatically. Yeah, we know that. We've used them a lot. I'm going to grab this other auspex. Surely one of the auspex that we can grab is the one we need for that quest. But as it stands, I want the better auspex, the 98% chance. And how do you compare to these other fighters? Because it's not showing. It says a 4 attack craft each equipped with a heavy laser turret versus 4 attack craft, each of them equipped with a heavy laser turret. I see no difference, but these are gold. So, sure. Better shields. Better dorsal cannon. And I think that's good. Yeah. 500 scrap, we can level up our RAM again. Can we go here? Last time we tried to talk to them, they said that they didn't want anyone not of the Mechanicus here. Refusing access to guests. Why do you exist? The entire game, they have not allowed us entry, and so it's like, why would the game put in people like an area we can't actually explore? I don't know. Let's go to the atrium. Do we bring Solomon or do we put someone else in? Oh, we're going to see the Inquisitor. We'll take Heinrichs, of course. Might be able to do the difficult ship battle with the upgrades. That's true. I know last time it felt like we were severely under-equipped, but now we might be more able to handle it. Alright, Heinrichs, let's level you up.
A lot of innocent people. I've yet to see someone remain so after an interrogation.
I haven't marked anything for you. Alright. What's your dodge looking like these days? Not amazing. So probably not critical velocity. Crushing assault's good. Don't care about aim. Death dealer's fine. This one's not bad because he needs to use a lot of action points to get all of his abilities up on that first turn. That's not bad. Peak condition is always great for any strength-based character. More healing. How much deflection do you have? None. Probably not, then. That seems good enough. Let's boost your strength by 22. No, it's already showing a +5, so I guess you're boosting your strength by 17 still. That's not nothing. That's definitely tempting. I think charge, though. Getting a longer charge is going to be good. Alright. What do we do here? Not necessarily allies affected by the Vanguard's Vanguard abilities, but just any of his abilities, because he has some big abilities that affect the group as a whole, like some of his psychic abilities. That feels really good. I don't know how easy it is to make yourself a priority target. Because there's very few things that cause that. Alright, we'll go with that. sure. Taunting, hopefully we make him priority target more often. Felix and Krause are your primary two. I guess now Lord Xenos. That way we can pretend that you at least know something about Xenos. Looked at all those, none of them are good. Could boost some of your skills, I could boost some of your characteristics, which is definitely tempting. I haven't given you combat mastery yet. That's surprising. Or dueling mastery. Boost your parry. Heavy armor proficiency is another thing that would be a reasonable choice. Because you don't have a ton of dodge or agility, so putting you in better armor would make sense. I still don't think we found any power armor in the entire game, which strikes me as really odd. We'll raise your parry. Alright, I can't boost your willpower or weapon skill, so let's boost your strength. There we go. You're now leveled up. It's not you who's the traitor. I want to say the traitor that we're looking for the explorators is Omicron something or other. Or maybe it is. Who are you? Identification request accepted. Acceptable response found. Here in Heed, this unit's identifier is Trade Terminal Zeta 42/33 Mu. Designated purpose, processing trade and information requests and offers made to the Adeptus Mechanicus Explorator Cognizance Fleet. State your request. Glory to the Omnissiah. Where's Opticon 22? Information request accepted. Acceptable response found. Here in Heed, the unit Logis Opticon 22 was instructed to leave the location Footfall and head for the strategic location of Euphrates II in order to provide support to the Explorer Cognizant Fleet. After standard rites were performed on Trade Terminal Zeta 42/33 Mu, it was deemed an adequate functional replacement and received a blessing to process requests at location Footfall. State your request. Glory to the Omnissiah. Why do you keep saying glory to the Omnissiah? I can't show my data slate. Information request declined. Acceptable response not found with it for the following reasons. Here in Heed, request falls outside processing trade and information requests and offers functionality. Try restating your request. Without missing a beat, the tech priest adds confidently, glory to the Omnissiah. Alright. Let's see your trade interface. So we'll sort you by cost. You want holy gifts. I don't want to give you all of them because I think the Drusians also like them. I'll give you some heretic trophies. And ship components. We're starting to get down in value. But that's fine. We're up to rank 22. That might have been a bit much. No, you go all the way up to 38. It's fine. I think there was something that needed me to get to like reputation 60,000 with them or something. Something really high up there. Okay, we have absurd amounts of armor kits. Ranged weapons, provisions, fuel. Alright, let's... Even though they're not worth a ton, we have a ton of them. And no one else seems to want them anymore. So... If I'm trying to get to 60,000, that means I need 18,000 more. That's going to take a while with armor kits. The fact that I have enough armor kits to get up to 12,000 and more is a little crazy. I had 13,000 just in armor kits. What about ranged weaponry? You're right, 60,000 for one of the building constructions. Okay, cool. Trying to remember what it was I needed, but obviously my memory isn't perfect. I guess I need to go actually above 18,000. Just a little bit. We'll get there, though. We've got plenty of armor kits and ranged weapons. That... Nope, still not enough. There. That's more than enough. 60,000. Alright, what does that get us access to now? Combat Manipulator, whenever the wearer uses a non-attacking consumable item. No, we don't use that. Chance to hit targets at a range of 10 or further by 20%. A power axe. Gain momentum. They also gain an equal amount of temporary wounds. Wow, that is way better armor than what I'm wearing right now. Why is my armor so terrible? Oh, I haven't put on this armor yet, which I was planning to. Might as well grab this in case anyone else could use it. Sometimes blessed or cursed with a good memory. If only. Where of the Overseer... Their first Overseer archetype ability around costs 0. Wearer gains an additional 1 action point for each consecutive turn that the wearer has not moved. I mean, it seems like a decent weapon. %30 chance to gain another attack action after a kill. I'll grab that. Then I've got to figure out where we were. Here we go. You're close to the Drusian trader as well, right? Yes. %70 armor penetration. Wow. Heavy armor. Fancy shotgun. Not sure how that compares, but it seems pretty good. So we'll grab it. Take the med kits. Always great. Try that world with the Mechanicus after this. It might have changed with the reputation increase. It's possible. Plus 20 tech use, plus 20 logic. And we can re-roll failed tech use or logic tests once per test. That could be good for Pascal. Oh, this is way better of a force sword. Yeah. Let's see. Don't need the grenades. Mars pattern power axe. That might be better than what we gave Pascal. So we'll grab that. I wish it didn't keep scrolling back to the top every time I bought something. Minor grievance, but it is slightly annoying. Boots to give a parry bonus. Could be good for any of our melee characters. Ooh, a pyromancy staff. Let's see how that compares to us. Get UT to 80,000. Who knows what the requirement is? Forge World Army, Skitarii Ranger Armor. It's medium. Meh. Ancient Plasma Rifle. Power Armor. There we go. Oh, it's Astartes armor only. What's the point of Power Armor proficiency if only Astartes... Like, the only power armor in the game seems to be Astartes. Well, I don't think I'm going to push the Explorators up to 80,000, at least right now. We're running low on things to trade them. I can grab this for whenever I get around to our Astartes again. Maybe it's better. On every comment, I like to leave a word that's not supposed to be there. Fun game. It does make it more interesting to try and figure out exactly what you're trying to say. So if we look at ourselves... No, because we have medium armor proficiency. But you have terrible armor, so this is an improvement. Boots to give parry versus... Yeah, that's just better. That'll be for Pascal. The shotgun is for someone who's not here yet. What about the power axe? It is a little bit worse damage-wise, but the 10 bleeding, I think, is better. Then let's compare this to what we're using. Yeah, the solar staff is way better for just basic damage. It's a higher level. So it'll give a better Inferno if I ever decide to use that. For every 2 creatures suffering from burning in combat, power level of the staff is increased by 1 and the willpower bonus increased by +2. I leave lots of people burning. So, yeah. Also, did I not have my staff out this whole time? Have I been using my gun for whatever reason? Okay, Dark Providence is better there. How's this? Oh, you can't use it because it's not Drakari. Alright. I think that's a general upgrade of all of our stuff.
I won't tolerate weakness.
So... Right, you guys are just burning everything. Koronus. Koronus' gaze is alight with awe. He breathes in the smell of burnt flesh and promethium and says to you, "Behold, noble Ignatius, as footfall transforms before your very eyes. In the wake of your toils, this den of depravity will once again become a testament to the Emperor's greatness, as was its original design. Does it bring you delight?" We can give him a diary of the captain of the Wasteland Wayfarer. Your expedition perished. Found the inscription in the ruined abode of Jesavon. Yeah, your expedition perished. He studies the diary for a while in silence, then says grimly, "Captain Verkil was a kind but fallible man. So was my brother in service, Gravik. So were millions of pilgrims who boarded the Wasteland Wayfarer many years ago." I don't remember any of that, but glad I was able to help you, I suppose. It grieves me that their kindness failed the test that the Void presented them with. Let their deaths serve as a reminder to us. Corruption has many faces and can stain even the purest of souls. Thank you for the news, Lord Captain. Colony AIII 649 Minoris is hereby officially declared fallen and lost. And I found this scripture in the ruined abode of Jesavon. What is it? A martyr's work from a lost colony? No, Reverend. It's a blasphemous text, the product of the mind of a heretic and an apostate who betrayed humankind. One should know the face of one's enemy. Fascinating interpretation of his word. It is certain to be an interesting read. You might even learn from it. No. Dogmatic. It's blasphemous text. Koronus nods grimly. Your vigilance is great. We will steel our hearts against this new breed of heresy that has pressed into these unclean pages. What do you think of the justice I served, Reverend? The Legion and his accomplices found the retribution they deserved. My heart rejoices at the thought of the justice delivered, yet it grieves me that Vladimir could not find it in himself to follow the path of repentance. With his intellect and resolve, he could have become a worthy servant of the Emperor, if only he had applied his talents. Well, let's see what the followers of the St. Drusus have to offer me. So he's up at 15 with 46,000. If I need to get you also to 60,000-ish, so I need 14,000. We'll give you a bunch of holy gifts as well, some jewelry. Uniform kits. Don't think I'm going to pull off the 15,000. Yeah, now we're down to the things that aren't worth a ton. Bunch of provisions. Now, if I need 14,000, we're going to get there. Looks like. Just slowly. Alright. Perfect. I got him up to 60,000. I'll take all of your med kits, because we can never have enough. All of your large med kits, same reason. Multi-keys. Excruciator Maul. No, not that impressive. Militant Cloak. Heavy Bolter. Cloak of Hatred. No, none of these are striking me as terribly exciting. An additional 45 warp damage with their melee attacks? What? We'll take that. See how that looks on Heinrich's, because the numbers are probably far worse. That looks like a pretty good power maul. We'll see how that compares to what we gave Pascal. More med kits. Another power weapon that might be better. Wow. Spend their movement points to move to any cell within movement range without provoking attacks of opportunity, and then immediately perform a melee attack against all adjacent enemies. That is incredible. And that looks incredible as well. Cannot fail any willpower or toughness tests in combat. Yes, please. How does that compare to the other power sword we grabbed? No, I was looking at force weapons. Power weapons. 30 to 50. I mean, it's a lot less armor penetration, but a lot more damage. And if you're far enough in dogmatic, ignore the dodge, deflection, and armor of xenos, demons, and psykers. Whoa. The diary from the Inquisitor base that was corrupted from Heinrich's questline. Okay. I vaguely recall that. Don't need you. Sanctic, no. Hey, our first power armor. We've got a couple of people trained in power armor. We can see how that compares. Okay. So now if we look at everything we grabbed. 45 warp damage for us, only 20 for you, but still. I think that's solidly good. So this is good for either or any of our melee characters. Abelard, what did you have? I mean, those are fine. We'll give it to you, Heinrichs. Power armor. You are trained. More armor, more deflection. More of a dodge penalty, which isn't great. Actually, what you've got on right now gives +3 deflection, which is still less, I guess. And +20 strength for using this. Yeah. Overall, it's just an upgrade. And it doesn't look as stupid. The medium armor. We'll take that. Yep, this looks like it's just an upgrade. Those are all power weapons. Yeah. What is your... Because I know you're dogmatic. How far in are you? You're only up to adherent. Follower and adherent. Is that the case of everyone? That they don't ever get higher than rank 2? Huh. Interesting. So, as a adherent, you just get the ignoring dodge. Can I use that? If we just assume I'm never going to need a gun because I can shoot things just fine. There's probably... No, because my weapon skill is so terrible. I'm never going to actually use it. Granted, I'm never going to use that gun either. But I could. We lose the penetration, but it does get rid of their dodge in your hands. But just for Xenos, demons, and psykers. The one you've got equipped now already ignores deflection. Yeah, I think as amazing as this sounds, it only gets its benefit in the hands of a dogmatic primary character. And we just aren't a sword character, unfortunately. see if she's still
A
around.
new challenge for me.
Yeah, Incendia, let's talk to you. Are you slightly less crazy than you were before? Incendia looks up from her parchment and inquires tensely, "What brings you to me, Ignatius?" "Your senses have deprived me of several suppliers of valuable equipment." Draw your weapon. I'm not going to draw my weapon. "Your sentences have deprived me of several suppliers of valuable equipment. As for that pirate Riza, there's no need for you to mourn her. Yes, she did come across valuable prizes at times, but more often than not, those prizes were tainted. Surely some other rat from her crew has already taken over her profane trade at the Amass and will be open for business, until I hang the lot of them, that is." Okay.
None shall stand in my way.
By order of the Lord Inquisitor, Holy Order of Xenos, the Legion's Palace is presently closed to outsiders. Actually, we have been asked to come visit. However, I think we will save the visit with the Inquisitor for next time. I think this is a great place to stop. So yeah, next time we will finally continue on with whatever happens next when we meet with the Inquisitor. Thank you all for being here, and I will see you guys then. Bye.